Well, back here at Shea Stadium, the Mets against the Montreal Expos in the final game. It'll be Sid Fernandez on the mound with a record of 9-3. He has no decisions against the Montreal Expos, and he has an earned run average of 2.75, ninth in the National League. He has worked 134 innings, given up only 95 hits. He has walked 51, struck out 110, and he has held the opposition to a 195 batting average, the lowest in the National League.
And the lineup for Les Expos: Otis Nixon, the center fielder, leading it off, followed by Damaso Garcia at second. Hubie Brooks, the ex-Met, the right fielder, batting third, and Tim Raines batting fourth. Third baseman Tim Wallach hitting fifth. Andre Scalaraga is batting sixth and playing first. Catcher Nelson Santovenia hitting seventh. Spike Owen, a switch hitter, batting eighth, and Kevin Gross, the ex-Philly, on the mound and batting ninth.
And the defense for the Mets: Magadan will be at first base, Miller at second base, Elster at shortstop, and Johnson at third. In the outfield, McReynolds in left field. In center field, Samuel, and then right field, Strawberry, Sasser the catcher, and the leadoff batter, Otis Nixon. Nixon hitting .224 for the year with no home runs, 20 runs batted in. And the first pitch of the game, a called strike. Nixon against the Mets this year has had 3 hits and 22 at-bats. And in the first game of this series, he was 0 for 4. Has outstanding speed. The Mets guard against the possibility of a bunt attempt, and the fastball outside. It's 1-1. Montreal 5th in hitting and with a team average of .251. They're 7th in home runs with 71. They're second in stolen bases with 114, but they are next to the last in being thrown out. They have been thrown out only one time, less than the last place team that's been thrown out the most. And there's a good swing of the curveball, 1-2. Nixon, a .220 lifetime batter in 477 games. He's hit 3 home runs. Outfield deep for Nixon, and especially in right field, Darryl Strawberry. Darryl Strawberry playing a normal defensive position against a normal hitter.
He's deeper in right field, and Samuel is in center, and Darryl, remember, is the opposite fielder.
And a swing and a miss, and Sid Fernandez strikes out his first batter. In his last game, he had only 1 strikeout, and that was his last batter of the ball game, Pedro Guerrero.
In contrast to the 16 strikeouts he recorded against the Braves July 14th, and he lost that game, his only loss since May 27th. That was when Lonnie Smith hit the home run to lead off the bottom of the 9th inning and beat Sid 3-2.
Now Damaso Garcia will be the batter. Garcia hitting .267, 2 home runs, 15 runs batted in. And the off-speed pitch for ball 1. Garcia 1 for 5 against the Mets this series. A .286 lifetime batter. This is his 12th year in the majors. He set out 1 full year when he was a property of Atlanta with a bad knee. And a swing and a foul back. It's 1-1.
Ralph, 2 games of interest. The Chicago Cubs at Pittsburgh tied 3-3 in the bottom of the 6th, and the Philadelphia Phillies at St. Louis scoreless. And we will be keeping track of that on the Nissan scoreboard throughout the course of the game. Keep you up to date. 2 big games in the National League East.
Cubs now tied with Montreal for first place. St. Louis tied with the Mets, and they're in third place 5 games back. The Expos have been in first place over their last 40 games ever since beating Doc Gooden back on June 26th. Good fastball there, and the count 1-2.
Wrigley will be hopping tomorrow as the Expos go to Chicago for a 3-game series.
Noisy Wrigley Field. And the Expos led by Buck Rogers. One-two pitch. It's outside for ball 2. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Garcia against the Mets this year, 1 for 11. Mets with a home record of 35 wins and 18 losses. And that went way outside for ball 3 and a full count on Damaso Garcia.
It's not good policy to throw your second best pitch that you get over on a 2-2 count, because now there's no question that Garcia is going to get the fastball. That's why 2-2, you throw the pitch you can get over the best, generally speaking.
And the 3-2 pitch, a fastball popped up in foul territory. It'll be into the stands out of play. And we've got another packed house here at Shea Stadium. Last night's ball game, a paid crowd of 46,175.
Sasser and Magadan giving chase over near the photographer's booth, but the ball a couple of rows back.
So it's 3-2 all over again as Sid sets up. On deck batter Hubie Brooks. And Sid with a fastball that's just low, as Bob Davidson didn't give him the call on the close pitch, and that puts a runner on. It brings up Hubie Brooks. Brooks 1 for 7 in this series.
Right fielder, number 7.
Brooks hitting .250 for the year with 8 home runs, 44 runs batted in.
Think about that 2-2 curveball, though. It's not to say you can't throw a curve 2-2, but whenever a catcher's in doubt, he should call for a pitch on a 2-2 count that the pitcher can get over the best. And because 2-2, there's still that element of doubt in a hitter's mind. And a pitcher always wants to keep that element of doubt in his mind. When a big league hitter knows what's coming, he's going to have a good cut at it, put the good part of the bat on the ball, generally speaking.
And Garcia, a good hitter. There's no doubt about it. Swing and a miss at strike 1. The other side about that, too, Tim, on 2-2, as you said, you've got to protect both ways against the curve and fastball. But on 3-2 and early in the ball game, you know he's going to throw a fastball at 3-2.
Exactly. And when you can gauge it and you know what's coming, the chances of you getting a hit are much greater.
And there's the next delivery, a fastball high, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Mackey, however, still being honed. He hasn't been a catcher over a long period of time. And one of the toughest things to do for a young catcher, or a catcher who's back there early, is the mental processes of how to call a ball game. That's the toughest.
And the 1-1 delivery hit high in the air. Sasser coming back, and he has room to make the play, and he does. So Hubie Brooks fouls out. Garcia stays at first, and that'll bring up Tim Raines.
And if calling a game is the toughest, this is the easiest. Not that it's easy, but it's the easiest part of catching, is catching pop flies.
Number 30, Tim Raines.
So Raines steps in, 2 for 7 in this series, hitting .298 for the year with 6 home runs, 51 runs batted in.
You agree with that, Barry? Thumbs up. We got a thumbs up from Barry Lyons listening to the game.
And Barry Lyons sitting by in today's ball game with Sasser catching with a right-hander going. Barry, a big contributor in the first game of this series with a single with 2 men out to put the Mets up by a score of 6-3 after the Expos had come back to get within 1. Big base hit there, and that pitch, ball 1. Raines against New York this year, hitting .250. He is a 10-year veteran with a lifetime average of .305. There goes a runner, big jump, and the pickoff play, and that is it. Sid Fernandez over to first base to Magadan, and they pick off Garcia, and he goes as a caught stealing. That ends the inning, and the score at the end of 1/2 inning. Montreal nothing. The Mets coming up, and here's a word from the good olds guys. Well, we're going now to bottom half of the first inning. Kevin Gross is on the mound, and he has a record of 8 wins and 8 losses, 1-1 against the Mets this year. An earned run average of 4.36. He has worked 144 in the 3rd innings. He has given up 135 hits, walked 64, and struck out 113, holding the opposition to a .245 batting average.
And the lineup for the Mets: Keith Miller leading it off, followed by Juan Samuel, Howard Johnson hitting 3rd, Darryl Strawberry with a key hit in last night's game, pinch hitting. Kevin McReynolds batting 5th. Dave Magadan hitting 6th. Mackie Sasser, the 7-hole hitter. Kevin Elster hitting 8th, and Sid Fernandez batting 9th.
And Keith Miller, the leadoff for the Mets with a 196 batting average. He has no home runs, 1 run batted in. And Kevin Gross starts off with a fastball and gets a strike. Miller 2 for 9 in this series. Batted .266 at Tidewater before coming up here. Played 48 games there with 1 home run and 18 stolen bases. 1 strike to count, and the breaking ball high. 1 ball, 1 strike. Kevin Gross throws a lot of breaking balls. And if you remember back a couple of years ago, 1987, he was suspended for 10 days by Bart Giamatti, the National League president at that time, when he was caught with sandpaper glued to his pitching glove. That was against the Cubs. And that pitch in there called strike 1 and 2.
He should have been suspended for twice as long because he had sandpaper and glue in there.
2 substances.
Yeah, right. There were 2 foreign substances. Why do they have to be foreign? I mean, why does it have to be a foreign substance?
That's a good question. Of course, he is pitching for Montreal, but that happened when he was with the Phillies, so that wouldn't be foreign. That would be native.
No, right. We have sandpaper made in this country, right?
No doubt about it.
Doesn't have to be foreign sandpaper.
Rough grain. So that fine went against the grain as far as he was concerned. Larry Bernard, the pitching coach of the Montreal Expos, a former New York Mets pitcher. Fine pitching coach, and there's the breaking ball outside, 2 and 2. He'll go a little bit down, drop down, and throw that slider and curveball and slop it up there on the outside part of the plate. Larry, a fine relief pitcher for the New York Mets.
Went to the same school as Frank Viola, St. John's University.
And the fastball swung on and missed, and Miller is struck out. No score, 1 away in the bottom half of the first inning.
Number 7, Juan Samuel.
That'll bring up Juan Samuel. Samuel hitting in the 2nd position in the batting order, and he's sort of found a home there. He's hit extremely well while hitting 2nd. There's the defense. Galarraga, Garcia, Owen, and Wallach in the infield, 1st to 3rd. Raines, Nixon, and Brooks in the outfield, left to right. The catcher, Santovenia. Samuel has hit in 4 of 5 ball games since going into the 2nd batting position, and he takes a fastball for ball 1. He's 10 for 22 batting in that 2nd slot.
Sammy and Kevin Gross, teammates for 4 years with the Phillies.
And a good curveball, and it's strike 1. 1 ball, 1 strike.
I'll tell you what, when you're a teammate of a pitcher, you don't get a lot of talk, a lot of loose talk from a pitcher. Hitters and pitchers don't discuss a lot of things. Because of situations like this, you might be facing one another someday. You don't want them to know what you know.
Sounds like Whitey Herzog.
How many pitchers were you close to in your playing days? 0, right? Zilch.
Yeah, it's not a combination that goes together. It's like water and oil.
The difference is when you're a catcher and you're catching a lot of pitchers and you have to have offense. I think if you're traded as a catcher, you may have a bit of an advantage offensively because you've been catching this guy for so many years and you know his tendencies.
Samuel with New York hitting .275. And he takes high, and it's 2 and 2. Too cold out here today.
Burr. Huh?
He's got to get examined.
I'm telling you.
He's got to get more in his arm examined.
I think that's a joke Doc's playing.
And there's a line drive base hit for Samuel. His first appearance against Gross in a New York Mets uniform, and he singles the left field, and he continues to hit well in that 2nd slot.
Little hanging curveball from Kevin Gross, and Gross knows that Samuel, a fastball hitter. Pretty good curveball there.
So Samuel playing in his 39th game as a New York Mets player, and he is on at first, a threat to steal, and Howard Johnson the batter. Howard hitting .296, 27 home runs, 70 runs batted in, and 79 runs scored. He leads the National League in runs scored. He is second in home runs and second in RBIs. Actually, third in RBIs. And there goes Samuel. Big jump. Santovenia with the throw in the dirt is not held on to, and Samuel with a stolen base.
Well, now that's kind of hard to understand. We mentioned Kevin Gross playing with Juan Samuel. Kevin was on the team that saw Samuel steal 72 bases as a rookie, and he doesn't throw over there. And Sammy had a good jump and steals his 25th easily. You see him pivot on that right foot. Good base runners and good base stealers do not pick that right foot up first. They waste a half a step by doing that. You pivot on the right foot, thereby saving about a half step.
So the Mets with a runner in scoring position. The first pitch to Johnson called the ball. Now a strike call, and it's 1-1. Johnson in this series with 4 hits and 8 at-bats. One of them a big 3-run home run in the first inning of the first game. And that's winning that first game big. They won it by a score of 11-5. And then came from behind to win the second game with 2 runs in the 8th inning to win 3-2. 1-1 pitch, a curveball hit out to right field, but right there is Hubie Brooks tagged at second as Samuel. He'll cross over easily, but 2 men away.
Right fielder,
So a runner at third with 2 out.
Ralph, we talked about it before. Sometimes the high curve balls are tougher to hit than the balls that are designed to be low. That curveball, a hitter's eyes light up, but that curve actually too high in the strike zone, and Hojo hit it on the trademark.
Darryl Strawberry, the batter. Darryl hitting .231 for the season with 22 home runs, 55 runs batted in, and he takes a fastball high. Darryl 4 for 5 in this series, and he got his first pinch hit for this season in the 8th inning of last night's ball game to tie the game, driving in McReynolds from first base. He doubled into left center, and then later on scored the winning run when Elster singled the left. Darryl against Montreal has hit .309 in his major league career with 26 home runs, although this year he's hitting .238 against them with no home runs. And the slider inside, 2 balls, no strikes.
Now that Mike Schmidt has retired, Darryl has the most home runs against the Expos than any active player in the National League, 26.
And again the fastball, this one a strike call. And it's 2-1. Borderline pitch given to the pitcher. 2 balls, 1 strike. And the next pitch, a curve hit in the air to right field, and again Rain Brooks is there, and he puts it away. So a base hit and a runner left at third, and the score at the end of 1. The Expos nothing, the Mets nothing, and here's a word from AT&T.
Fans, Juan Samuel just stole a base, and Paul Helbach of Cold Spring, New York is now in the drawing for a new Nissan 300ZX. So Sammy stealing a base for Paul Helbach. He entered the Nissan stolen base game at his participating Nissan dealer.
Well, we're going now to the top of the second. Raines to bat again. He was left at home plate when Garcia was thrown out attempting to steal. Actually picked off at first base and caught stealing when the throw went down to Elster for the tag. So Raines starts over with a clean slate, and he hits the first pitch high in the air toward the third base side. Howard Johnson moving off the play as Elster comes in from behind and makes the catch. A lot of sun up there right now on the third base shortstop side.
number 29.
So no score.
Third baseman, Tim
1 man out in the top of the second inning, and Tim Wallach will be the batter. Wallach 1 for 6 in this series. Hitting .283 for the year with 8 home runs, 55 runs batted in. He has 33 two-base hits. He leads the National League in two-base hits, and the first pitch, a fastball fouled away. Sid Fernandez on the mound for the Mets comes in with a record of 9-3.
This is a zany day at Shea. Banner day. Ralph Kiner was king. I saw that banner that said Ralph Kiner rules.
I didn't have to pay too much for those guys to carry it either. Now the 1-strike pitch, and it's fouled away again. I remember Banner back in 1963, the first year they had Banner Day, and it said, of course, the Mets were really bad in '62. As you look at Wallach with 30 doubles for the 6th time in his last 8 years. And the banner said, "Pray for rain," and rain was spelled like you'd say King Rain.
R-E-I-G-N.
1963, the first Banner Day parade. Banners actually originated in the old Polo Grounds back in 1962 when they were first brought out in the stands. George Weiss, who was the president of the Mets at that time, said,
"What does that say? Restroom
way."
attendant, R-E-S-T. We can't figure that.
They went to no great expense for that banner. Ground ball to third, a long throw for Johnson. He takes the second and then guns it over there for the out on Wallach. So 2 away here in the top of the second, no score. And this is the Mets. And their banner for the fans.
The first baseman,
It's been a love affair ever since 1962. Over $3 million poured into Shea last year, and the Mets should go over the $2 million mark Thursday when they play a doubleheader against the Cardinals.
And on their way to a possible $3 million
Yeah.
in paid attendance at the ballpark again. There are since to have 3 million tickets sold, but in the National League they only count the ones that show up. And the first pitch to Galarraga taken for a called strike.
I think we might add love affairs with 2 different types of characters, huh? In the early days of the Mets, the stumbling, bumbling, losing ball club, and now a team that's been in contention for the last 5 years.
And the count 1-1. In those early days, it was 10th place wasn't bad, just like it would be the fact that they had National League Baseball back in the New York area again. Lost 120 games their first year. 1-1 pitch, a good curveball, 1-2. It's almost like finishing 10th in a beauty contest. Can't be too bad.
Depends on how many contestants.
Now the 1-2 delivery to Galarraga. Swing and a miss, and Galarraga goes down. So a 1-2-3 inning for Sid Fernandez, his second strikeout, and the score at the end of 1.5 innings. The Expos nothing, the Mets nothing. And here's a word from Sears. Well, we're going down to the bottom half of the second, and coming in for the play-by-play, man who once led the National League in 3 base hits.
There it is, Ralphie.
All right.
Ralph Kiner rules.
Tim McCarver, though, taking over now, though.
ladies and gentlemen.
All right, thanks, Ralphie. Kevin McReynolds leads it off here in the bottom of the second. There is Jay Horwitz, our crack statistician, commander, and boy, is he ever. Does he rule? Speaking of ruling, Jay rules the roost here at Shea and on the road. A tireless worker.
Gene Shalit was just up here, one of the judges of the contest. They said they were allowed to give out 10 prizes, but they stretched it to 11 and gave those 2 a prize for that banner on Jay.
Gene, the movie critic on the Today Show, and a big Mets fan. A ball and no strikes to Kevin McReynolds. No score here in the second. 1-1 to Mac. The Mets tied with the Cardinals 5 games out, and the Expos and Cubs, identical 63 and 47 records, are tied for first. 2 balls and 1 strike to McReynolds. Only 11 home runs so far for McReynolds, 29 last year. Good cut. He fouled it back. 2-2. On deck, Dave Magadan. You see what Gross is doing. He's trying to loosen those seams on the ball. Bob Forsch does the same thing. Bob, the longtime pitcher with the Cardinals for 14 years, and now with the Houston Astros. Try to loosen those seams a little bit to raise the seams and get a better grip. A curve fouled away. 2-2.
And that is legal. There's nothing wrong with doing that.
Even though there are some managers and hitters that claim that that technically is defacing a ball. It's a technicality, but a point nonetheless. 2-2 to McReynolds. This one could be in play. Galarraga over near the stands, and it's several rows back.
No one's ever really explained batting slumps, but when you're hitting well, and McReynolds is in one of those good streaks right now. He's hitting .368 over his last 14 games. He was totally fooled on that pitch, and he managed to foul the ball off, and that's the reason why you hit well in those streaks.
Foul off the good pitches, and don't miss the mistakes.
When you're not hitting well, that ball goes into play.
The attendants here at Shea handing out wet towels and cold wet towels with good reason. It is hot and muggy, but it's supposed to be. It's August.
The dog days of August.
3-2 to McReynolds. Breaking ball lifted to center. Back is Garcia. In is Nixon. He can't get to it. McReynolds to second. Safe at second base. Alert base running by Kevin McReynolds. And he has a leadoff double here in the second.
And further proof of what happens when you're in a hitting streak right there. Again, he was fooled by the pitch and hits it off the end of the bat, and it goes in for a bloop 2-base hit. This ball drops in front of Nixon, the center fielder. Garcia picks it up, and he would have had McReynolds with a good throw, but he made a bad throw into second base. This ball is not a good throw at all, and McReynolds beats the play.
So the batter, Dave Magadan. Dave batting .285, and since taking over for Keith Hernandez, batting at a .304 clip. No score here in the second, but the Mets have a runner at second and nobody out. Strike one. What a dramatic ball game last night. The Mets trailing 2-1 in the bottom of the 8th. Darryl Strawberry's pinch hit double, driving in McReynolds. And then Strawberry scored on a 2-out clutch single by Kevin Elster. Mets won it 3-2. 1-1 to Magadan. Well, that Mark Langston's fun to watch, isn't he, Ralph?
Well, what a great pitcher he is.
Be interesting to see if Dave Dombrowski, the young general manager of the Expos, will be able to sign Langston. Ball 2. 2 balls and 1 strike. There's Mark.
He was not the pitcher of record in last night's ball game. He left after 7 innings, leading 2-1, and the losing pitcher was the relief pitcher.
And Langston can be a free agent this year, and the Expos obviously will try hard to sign him. Just a matter of whether he wants to play in Montreal or not, or pitch in Montreal. I would imagine that the competition to sign him, if he does declare free agency, will be fierce. And there's a winning pitcher last night. What a gutty, courageous performance by Darling.
Went all the way. on that hot night.
Line to center, base hit. McReynolds will try to score. The throw home, out at home. Magadan staying at first base. Bad base running by Magadan. And I guess you got to question Sammy Perlazo at third, sending McReynolds with nobody out.
Well, one of the few questionable decisions by Perlazo, but there's nobody out, and this ball is clearly in shallow center field when Nixon picks it up, and McReynolds really had no chance to score. But what made the play even worse was the fact that Magadan didn't go down to second, because he might have had the cutoff man cut that ball off if he had gone to second, and the Mets would have gotten the run. That's not for sure, but it could have happened. But anyway, he would have been in second if they didn't cut it off.
Right.
And you still have a runner in scoring position.
So bad base running by Magadan, and as you say, I think that might be the only mistake I've seen Sammy Perlazo make in his 4 years with the Mets. Of course, if the ball's thrown awry, then it's not a mistake. But with nobody out, I think you have to make sure. It's a ball and no strikes to Mackey Sasser. There are a lot of base runners who are slow, but slow base runners can maximize their base running ability just as well as fast base runners. Dick Groat, a case in point, couldn't run a lick, but was an excellent base runner.
He was awfully quick. He made those decisions as fast as anybody.
Outside, 2-0 to Mackey Sasser. To Sasser. Kevin Elster on deck. There's Kevin swinging the hottest bat for the Mets at the present time. He's batted safely in 17 of 18 and has really been driving in the big runs. Strike one. 3-1 to Sasser. Magadan at first, 1 out, no score here in the second. There goes Magadan. This one hit deep to right field. Brooks is back, and he makes the play. Magadan had rounded second. They may have a play at first, but he's back. So Sasser sends Brooks to the wall. Magadan running at the time. And Magadan back, 2 outs.
Number 21, the shortstop, Kevin.
Well, Hubie, not knowing that Magadan was all the way around second, throws the ball to second. If he had thrown to first, he would have had the man. But he's just playing it the way he figured it would be, that Magadan would be able to get back. But he had to play at first, but didn't know it. But he made a fine play to make the catch.
So Kevin Elster, the batter. Kevin has raised his average 40 points in the last 20 games. 37 RBIs equals last year RBI total. So an August performance by Elster in August.
Game-winning base hit in last night's ball game in the 8th inning.
Strike one to Kevin Elster. No score here in the second. 2 outs. Magadan at first. Popped up in the infield. Infielders converging, and the ball is dropped. Garcia and Owen both converge, and that's really where a pitcher has to take over, Ralph, and make the call. We'll see how the error is charged, and Buck Rogers seething in the dugout.
And Magadan didn't get to third on that play. With 2 men out, he's got to be running over. So he ends up at second. Now you see him running right there, the ball in the air, and he stops at second. If he keeps going, he's on third base with no problem.
Garcia touched the ball first. Even if Fernandez makes an out, that means that Miller will be leading off the third. So regardless of how you look at it, it's a damaging error. We think it's on Garcia. Fernandez hits one to center. Back is Nixon, and he makes the play. Well, it was really a strange inning for the Mets to come up empty. It's no score after 2. We're back after this from your Dodge dealers.
Well, a packed crowd here, and this pop-up into the infield, of course, the infielders are instructed to yell, I got it, if you are the one that wants to take it, but many times you can't hear the other guy. Here's the little pop-up, and now the second baseman. So you heard the words, I got it, but it was by both players,
right.
And neither one backed off the play. So that's how those mishaps can take place.
And that's where the pitcher can really take charge out there and call one guy and hold the other one. That's an old Dodger technique. You call, for instance, the pitcher would call Garcia and hold Spike Owen and not let him get anywhere near the play. Anyway, Santovenia the batter. And the curve is on the outside corner. 0-1 to Nelson Santovenia. Mike Fitzgerald generally catches. Bryn Smith and Dennis Martinez, and Santovenia starts when the other pitchers are starting a ball game. Another good curve, 0-2. I've always felt a little strange when a pitcher demanded one catcher catch it. Huh, Ralph?
You're going to be buried 60 feet 6 inches away from Steve Carlton, I understand.
Let's hope that's in the far away future, if that is indeed the case. It's still 0-2 to Santovenia. The distant future.
You were there for the ceremonies when they retired his number. He handled that, I thought, very well.
Yes, he did. That was last Saturday night, 8 days ago, when Steve's number was retired, number 32, the third Philly number to be retired. As a matter of fact, the same amount of numbers as are retired by the New York Mets. And they are exhibited proudly in left field. Gil Hodges, number 14, Casey Stengel, number 37, and Tom Seaver, number 41.
And I understand that Carl Yastrzemski's number is being retired today up in Boston.
Oh, that's great. Santovenia fouling another one back, still 0-2. There are only 3 numbers that were retired by 2 teams. Henry Aaron, number 44, was retired by Milwaukee and Atlanta. Rod Carew, that's a tricky one. Number 29, retired by the Twins of Minnesota and the California Angels. And, of course, the venerable Casey Stengel, the Yankees and the Mets. Ground ball to third. Johnson throws out Santovenia. 5 in a row now, retired by Fernandez. How about that? He has given up an earned run less on the road, but a much better home record, which means he's getting better support at home. And that stands to reason because the Mets hit better here.
Mets now moved to second place on the list of runs scored in the National League. The Giants lead in the National League, but the Mets coming from way back now in second place.
Spike Owen takes a fastball that's high. Spike's done a good job. He has 62 walks and 67 hits. 62 walks, excellent for an 8th spot hitter. Low, ball 2, 2-0. 22 of those 62 intentional walks. He's second to Kevin Mitchell of the Giants in intentional passes. Owen says no, but the guy that counts is Bob Davidson. 2 balls and a strike to Spike Owen.
And Owen pulling away from that pitch, and it's called a strike, but it was pretty much on that corner.
Ball 3, 3-1. Foul back right above us, so 3-2 to Spike Owen. I guess Owen is the namesake of what the people in Montreal are still doing with their stadium. Owen, and they'll be Owen for another 2 decades. What is it, $1 billion? They ought to change that from the big O to the big O-W-E. O. $1 billion for that albatross in Montreal. Still foul back, still 3-2.
They even have a stat now that Montreal carries on their regulation press notes, and that is how many games they win with the dome open and how many they win when it's closed, and how many they win when it should be closed, and they can't get it closed.
Curveball hit foul, so still 3-2 to Owen. Belated birthday regards today to Abe and Lillian Isaacs, who were 81 and 80. Now here they are married for a lot of years, Ralph. They're in Miami, big Mets fans. Their birthday was Friday. They have the birthdays on the same day. How about that?
Convenient.
It's great. Yeah, it is. Saves a lot of money on birthday gifts.
And one party covers all.
Still 3-2 to Spike Owen.
That Chicago-Pittsburgh game still tied, and they're in the 9th inning, tied at 3.
Got him. It took a while, but Fernandez prevailed. Strikeout number 3 for Sid, and Kevin Gross, the batter.
Well, a full count strikeout, and he goes to the fastball and gets it. He has walked one batter. That's the only base runner by Montreal, and that came on a 3-2 pitch back in the 1st inning to Garcia. Garcia was picked off at first, so Sid has pitched to the regulation in 2 2/3 innings now.
The only base runner, Damaso Garcia, in the 1st inning, and Fernandez picked him off. High to Gross.
Gross, a good hitting pitcher.
Four pitchers on the end there. Doc Gooden, Bobby Ojeda, Frank Viola, and Ron Darling.
See how they flock together?
Yep. Viola will be pitching tomorrow evening against Ken Howell. David Cohn against Bruce Ruffin on Tuesday night. And then Wednesday afternoon in Philadelphia, Bobby Ojeda against Dennis Cook. And as often the case, you can drive down. It's only 100 miles down the turnpike and see the Phillies and the Mets Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. It's a ball and 2 strikes to Gross.
Seldom see a pitcher question an umpire when he's a batter, because they're looking at the all strike calls when they're on the mound. They don't want to make that umpire feel that he's not doing a good job.
Strikeout number 4 for Fernandez. Halfway up the foot. Now we'll take a look at Nelson Santovenia. And Santovena's shin guard right at the crease comes down to protect the toes. And Nelson was telling me that he had those especially made to protect the digits, and I think that's a great idea.
Certainly is. Super idea. It saves those foul balls. Barry Lyons, of course, was out of action because he got a broken big toe on a foul ball.
He told me, Nelly told me also, that he was talking to Barry Lyons about this particular type of shin guard the day that Lyons broke his toe at the Big O up in Montreal. So more protection for the catchers. Comes too late, I say. Keith Miller takes a curveball that's high. 0-1.
It's amazing that that hasn't been thought of earlier.
Yeah, that's true. It certainly can't cut down on the speed of a catcher. Not that fast in those lobster claws anyway. Line to left, base hit for Miller.
Center fielder Juan Samuel.
There is the scoreboard, Nissan scoreboard. 3-3 Chicago and Pittsburgh in the top of the 9th. No score. Atlanta and Cincinnati top of the 7th. Philadelphia 1, St. Louis nothing. Bottom half of the 6th. San Diego in Los Angeles later, and Houston playing in San Francisco later.
So Juan Samuel, the batter. Remember in Friday night's game, he hit a pitch out with Miller on first base. Miller didn't run, but Samuel knew the pitch out was on. And he swings and misses. 0-1 to Sammy. He singled and stole second in the first, but was stranded at third. No score here in the 3rd inning. High, ball 1, 1-1. Deck batter Howard Johnson. Miller not running, and this one fouled away. 1-2. Speaking of catchers, we were talking about the shin guards. Ralph, a purported trade of Tony Pena and Terry Pendleton to the Boston Red Sox for Wade Boggs did not come about, and we'll tell you why. The reason for that, Dave Dombrowski and the Montreal Expos claimed Tony Pena, and that thwarted the deal.
As of August the 1st, you have to go through waivers before you can have interleague trading. Trading has to be cleared.
Line drive to right. Hubie Brooks is there. Samuel hit it like a bullet, but Hubie Brooks makes the catch. 1 out, and Howard Johnson the batter.
Third baseman Howard Johnson.
You remember last year the Seattle Mariners tried to trade Mike Moore, and as a matter of fact they tried to trade him to the Minnesota Twins, and Oakland claimed him, and that miffed Seattle. But Oakland eventually signs Moore as a free agent this past winter. So clubs do have their reasons. We understand that the St. Louis Cardinals, Whitey Herzog and Dow Maxville, livid about the Expos claiming Tony Pena, but they probably did it to squelch the deal. The pitch out, nobody's running. Ball and no strikes to Hojo, who fly deep to right in the first.
I believe the claiming price is $50,000. I'm not too sure of that.
Insignificant compared to the ultimate deal.
But to move a player from one league to the other after the end of July, you have to have all the clubs say they don't want it.
Got him at first. I'll tell you, I wonder if Kevin Gross moved that right foot. That's that old Drysdale play where they lean on the left foot and throw to first. Technically a balk, but very close.
Well, we look at it here in the replay. It's a spin around.
Yeah.
And Miller picked off, so the pickoffs are even in this ball game.
And so's the score.
Langston proved that he had a great move in last night's game.
Matter of fact, that's the 4th pickoff in the last 2 games.
That's got a big one when they picked Galarraga off second with nobody out.
Drill to right. Is it fair? No, sir. Well, I will never understand why a guy like Gross with his stuff would drop down and throw a fastball into Howard Johnson.
Left-hand batter. Really no advantage. Howard with his left.
Score as we start the 4th inning. And top of the order for Montreal, there is what I call a sun hat. The Sol Sombrero. Sent Nixon the leadoff batter because Sid Fernandez has faced the minimum through the first 3, allowing just a walk in the first inning, and Garcia caught stealing. Nixon struck out his first time up. He's only had 3 hits in his last 27 at bats. And he takes the ball, 1 ball, 1 strike. Johnson way in at third as Nixon tried to bunt, or thought about it anyway. Nixon has 16 infield base hits this year. See Magadan in near the grass as well. 2 balls, 1 strike.
Nixon, Garcia, and Hudler all signed by the Yankees originally.
And 2 of the 3 in the lineup, and Hudler's done a good job since coming up. Right on the corner, 2-2. Richard Nixon sitting next to Mets co-owner Nelson Doubleday.
I don't think he was signed by the Yankees.
No, neither one of them. Neither Nelson nor Richard. Sid Fernandez has struck out 3 in a row and 5 in the game.
And while we have a second here, the Nissan American League scoreboard. Toronto 6, the Yankees 5. That's a final. Cleveland 4, Boston 4, bottom half of the 7th. Texas 2, Baltimore 1, top of the 8th. 2-2, Kansas City and Minnesota, top of the 7th. Oakland and Seattle, a night game. Chicago 3 and Detroit 2, top of the 5th. No score, California against Milwaukee, bottom half of the 5th.
Damaso Garcia, the batter. He walked in the first inning with 1 out, but then was caught stealing as Fernandez picked him off first, and the throw down to Elster got him at second. The breaking ball low, ball 1. The photogs are out in force on both sides. The media very much in attendance here as the Expos came in with the lead and now are tied with Chicago because of the Mets winning the first 2 of this series. 1-1 to Garcia. I was talking to Buck Rogers today before the game and said the biggest problem is that they've just stopped hitting. Well, Garcia's one guy who has not stopped hitting. He has hit .371 over his last 11 games, but not enough of the Expos have been hitting the ball. Nixon's been in a slump. Brooks has been in a slump. Galarraga. Bottom of the 9th with the Pirates batting and the Cubs leading by 1. Three and 1. The one thing that has kept Montreal going has been the pitching, but the Mets have beat on their pitching pretty good. Ball 4. So Garcia walks for the 2nd time, and he has been the only base runner for Montreal. And we remind you that today's game is being brought to you in part by The Wiz. Remember, for anything in home entertainment, nobody beats The Wiz. So here's Doobie. Hubie Brooks 0 for 1, popped out in foul territory to Mackey Sasser. The fastball right in there, strike 1. think, Ralph, the Expos, although they are playing the Mets and that is their main concern, probably more concerned with the Cubs right now than anybody else, because Chicago has been hotter than they've been. Right back at us. Don't come toward me now, Ralph. That ball will follow you.
Don't tell me which way to go.
Go towards Vinny. Vinny has a good hand.
You're a bigger backstop.
Yeah, I could block him better. That's right. Dive behind me, you know you'll be safe. No balls, 2 strikes to Brooks. Foul back again. One out, one on in the 4th inning, no score. The Mets with 4 hits, the Expos with none. And now Sid wants Mackey Sasser to go through the signs again. Sid will be watched very closely today with the heat and humidity. Another one fouled off. 93 it says. The heat index, which is a term they like to use in the summer months with the humidity factor figured in. And on the field you can see this is before the game. Down on the edge of the field it was near 100. If this stadium had artificial surface, it would probably be about 135 on the field. High fastball foul back. Still no balls, 2 strikes to Brooks. And what a catch in the first row of the Loge section. A one-handed stab by the guy with his hat on backwards. So he's got his hat like a catcher and he caught it.
I think he started out with it in front when he caught that ball, spun around and went it back.
That was a great stab. Fernandez steps off. Curveball locked Brooks right up, but it just missed inside, and it's 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Well, he'd been throwing fastballs to Hubie Brooks, and this curveball froze him. I don't know how he called that thing a ball.
Looked like it went right through the strike zone.
Sometimes the umpires get fooled.
True. Another fastball fouled off. 1-2. And what you're seeing so far today with Sid Fernandez pitching is one of the main reasons why Sid only has 3 complete games this year, and that is rare for him to have that many, because he has so many balls fouled off, so many deep counts. He's already had a number of full counts in this game. He just throws a lot of pitches. Brooks hits it into center field. Samuel won't be able to get to it. It looked like he might have had a chance, but he pulled up, and I'm not too sure, Ralph, that he might not have lost that ball in the sun. Sammy looking right into the sun, and when the ball's hit on a line like that, he probably decided to play it safe.
Well, day games make it tough to find the ball out of the white shirts in the crowd also, and he came onto this ball pulled up here, and it appears as you look at it that he might have had a play. He's a better judge of that than anyone, and in his mind he felt he didn't have. And it's a little looper in the left center field. Elster's saying come in, trying to help out the outfielder, but the ball dropping in front, and that's the first hit of the game against Sid Fernandez.
And Hubie Brooks certainly earned it as he fouled off a number of pitches. Now here's Tim Raines. Line away, ball 1. Raines popped to short as Kevin Elster made the play over near third base, leading off the second inning. Ball 2. And Sasser wants to talk. Since Raines moved to the cleanup position in the batting order, he has hit well. In fact, over the last 27 games, Raines has hit .359, but his stolen bases have suffered. He has stolen 25 of 32 this year. But when you hit fourth, it's tough to get into position to steal bases, and as you can see from that graphic, he has not had a lot of success here at Shea. Ball 3, 3-0.
And Sid now in danger.
He's digging a big hole with one out here in the fourth inning. After striking out Nixon, Garcia walked, and then Hubie Brooks battled and finally got a single to center. So now a 3-0 pitch to Tim Raines. Ball 4. Bases are loaded with one out. Pollock, a pull hitter, second on the club in RBIs with 55. Skies it to center field. Samuel coming up, and the tag at third by Garcia. The throw home not cut off. Garcia scores on the play. Brooks moves over to third, and Montreal leads 1-0. RBI number 56 on the sacrifice fly for Tim Waller.
Montreal.
Runners at first and third with two out. Outside, ball 1. Hubie Brooks at third. Tim Raines at first. Another fly ball to center, this one deeper. Samuel fighting the sun, and the inning is over. But on just one hit and a couple of walks, Montreal takes a 1-0 lead. Another 40,000 plus on hand for Banner Day. Strawberry flied to right to end the first inning. Ball 1. Darrell working on a mini hitting streak of 4 games, over which he has hit 500. Ball 2. Ball 3. So 3-0 to Darrell. Who should be seriously hacking here, Ralph, if it's to his liking. But it's ball 4.
Well, the Mets now have had their leadoff batter on base in 3 of the 4 innings.
Left fielder Kevin McReynolds.
There's Goofy and Figment, refugees from Disney World. On a day like today, any hat will do. Even if it's a goofy one. Kevin McReynolds with a double, leading off the second.
Kevin with a bloop double to center field tried to score on a base hit by Magadan that followed with no one out and was thrown out at the plate. That's the closest the Mets have come to getting on the scoreboard so far.
1 strike to count. Strawberry running, and a ground ball to second. Garcia will have to go to first. And Darrell will be at second with 1 out.
Well, a Rio winner knows how to party right. Please use good sense when you drink. No one to say when. A reminder from your friends at Anheuser-Busch.
Here's Dave Magadan, who singled his first time up in the second inning. Magadan with 79 hits in his last 86 games. To show you how consistent he has been over the last 68 is at 304. Strike one. He has tapered off a bit from the torrid pace he set the first few weeks filling in for Keith Hernandez. But has since May not gone more than 2 games in a row without a base hit. Way high. 1-1.
You saw that stat on Magadan against left-hand pitchers. He has the best batting average against left-hand pitchers in the major leagues among the active players. And that's in his career, not just this year.
Good breaking ball from Gross, and he can throw a good one up there. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Magadan, I think, thought the ball was inside. And he's not too happy, but it looked pretty good.
Well, it's a good curveball to hit. And he thought it was inside, but it looked like it got part of that inside part of the plate. But this is a good pitch to hit if you're a left-hand batter. That ball, you can really put the leverage on it.
Magadan is extremely selective, and sometimes perhaps too selective.
So you might say that Kevin Gross really painted the picture right there, and he's an accomplished artist.
Yes, he is. This time an inside pitch fouled off. Sharply hit right at second baseman Garcia, who goes to Owen to double up Strawberry, and the inning is over. The Mets have had some base running at Shea Stadium, and the baseball is tight. 1-0 Montreal. Nelson Santovenia leads it off for the Expos, bottom of the order to face Sid Fernandez. Right on the corner, strike one. Santovenia grounded to third his first time up. Well hit to left. McReynolds drifting back has room, however, and short of the track, out number one.
The shortstop, Spike Owen.
Here's Spike Owen, who struck out swinging in the third. That was only his 16th strikeout in his last 285 plate appearances. Ball one. And overall this year, he's only struck out 24 times now in 346 plate appearances.
At the Hall of Fame ceremonies, Joel Sewell was there, a Hall of Famer, and he was a ground ball out right there. He was the man who set the record for the fewest strikeouts in the season. He struck out only 3 times one season, and he said the umpire made a bad call on him all 3 times.
Otherwise he wouldn't have, huh?
That's right.
Hojo with another good play. So 2 out and nobody on, and Kevin Gross takes a little time, and so we will check out what's happening in Pittsburgh, where the Pirates have tied the score in the bottom of the 9th inning against the Cubs on a sac fly by Barry Bonds. And they are still batting in the bottom of the 9th inning of a 4-4 tie. So both the Mets and the Expos watching that Chicago-Pittsburgh game closely. Tied at 4, bottom of the 9th. Kevin Gross can't catch up to the heat. Good day for him. Kevin struck out his first time up. One and one. You and Tim were mentioning earlier, Ralphie, about how Gross was caught red-handed, as it were, with the sandpaper. Since he works in oils, I wonder if he's ever tried that. Down the right field line, Strawberry in foul territory, and the inning is over. Fernandez sets him down in order in the 5th inning, but the Expos still lead it 1-0 after 4.5, and we're back to Shea after this for the good old Skies. Going to the bottom of the 5th inning, a 1-0 Montreal lead in the final game of this 3-game series. The Mets having won the first 2. Kevin Gross going against Sid Fernandez, and after this game, 6 more remaining between these 2 teams. There will be 3 more here at Shea and 3 in Montreal. And the way the Cubs are going, and with St. Louis also tied, it's not just the Mets in Montreal, but it certainly has been this weekend. And as we go to the bottom of the 5th, once again to call it for you, here's Ralph.
Okay, Steve, and Kevin Gross, who has pitched 2 shutouts this year, getting set to pitch to Mackey Sasser, and he's leading by a score of 1-0. Back on May 24th against the San Francisco Giants, he won a 1-0 ball game against the West Coast team. Struck out 11 in that ball game, 1 shy of his career high at 12. And on 6/24, June 24th, a shutout against Chicago, 5-0, a 3-hitter, and that tied his career low for hits in a complete game. So Mackey Sasser leading it off for the Mets. Mackey with a drive to right. It was caught his first time up. And this time he hits it to right field in the air. Fairly high fly ball, so a lot of time for Brooks to get to it. So 1 pitch and 1 away. That'll bring up Kevin Elster. Elster safe on a drop pop-up. The error charged to Garcia back in the 2nd inning. Elster brought a 5-game hitting streak into this game and has hit in 17 of his last 18, hitting .397 over the 18 ball games, and he's had 4 home runs. And he drove in the winning run in last night's ball game, and the fastball on the outside corner called strike. That Cub game now in the 10th inning, tied at 4. Cubs in Pittsburgh.
Kevin Elster's RBIs this year, 13 of those 37 have come in just the last 11 games. So Kevin's picked it up both with the average and with the RBIs.
1 strike pitch, and this one misses for ball 1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Mets have had 4 hits. The Expos 1, but the Expos utilizing 2 walks in the inning that they got their base hit. They lead 1-0. And the slider outside, 2 balls, 1 strike. Mets have had their leadoff batter on base in 3 of the 4 previous innings, and they haven't scored.
Usually it's a bad omen.
The 2-1 delivery. And a strike call by Bob Davidson on a borderline pitch. Elster doesn't like the call. It's 2-2.
Well, players on both sides, including pitchers, both pitchers have been a little upset with Davidson. But he has been consistent. He has given that outside pitch to right-handed hitters, to both Fernandez and Gross, consistently. So even though his strike zone may be a little wider than some other umpire, all you can ask an umpire to do is call it the same way all the time. And Davidson has been consistent.
2-2 the count. And this one popped up and playable. Galarraga making the call, and now the catch as Garcia gets out of the way. So Elster, the second out of the inning, and that'll bring up Sid Fernandez.
The pitcher, Sid Fernandez.
Sid flying out to center field his first time up. Fernandez with 9 hits this year. 2 of them have been doubles, and he's driven in 5 runs. And the first pitch he called strike. Sid didn't like that call. Big strike zone for Bob Davison. And that went outside, so it's 1-1. Montreal, in Kevin Gross's last 6 no decisions, the Expos won 5 of the 6, and the fastball fouled back out of play. Ball, 2 strikes to Sid Fernandez. 2 men out. We're in the bottom half of the 5th inning. Montreal leading 1-0. And the curveball grounded foul. So the count will stay at 1-2.
Sid just pounded that one right off his little doggy. But apparently it's not too bad. He hit it off his back foot. Good hitters hit him off their front foot.
Yeah. Now the 1-2 pitch, and it's grounded out to the first base side. Galarraga over in front of the second baseman, and the throw to first for the out that retires the Mets in order for the first time in this game. And the score at the end of 5, Montreal 1, the New York Mets nothing. And here's a word from your Dodge dealers.
Sears, and we'll take a look at the week in review. For the week, the Dow Jones average is up over 18 points. The S&P up just a little under 2. Gold and silver up just a smidgen, or a tad, whichever you would prefer. I guess gold was up a smidgen and silver up a tad. And that's a look at Wall Street, brought to you by Sears.
And we're going to the top of the 6th inning. Montreal leading 1-0. The leadoff batter will be Otis Nixon. And Otis leading off an inning for the 3rd time. And he hits the first pitch in the air on the second base side. Keith Miller, with the glasses down, makes the catch. 1 pitch, 1 away. Nixon, a moral victory there. He had struck out his first 2 times up. That'll bring up Damaso Garcia, who has been a base runner the 2 times he's been up, both times on walks. And he has scored the only run of the game.
Not to take anything away from either pitcher, Ralph, but I think part of what we're seeing here today is a little day game after night game. Hot and humid weather, dog days of August, swinging of the bats.
Got to really push yourself when you're playing on a hot day like this after a night game. Although some player once said the toughest thing to do is to play a day game after a day off in Chicago.
It all depends on what your nocturnal habits happen to be.
That is true. And the 1-0 pitch swung on and missed. 1 ball, 1 strike. Fernandez has struck out 5 in this game. He has walked 2. He has given up only 1 hit, a single to Hubie Brooks. And he came into the game with a record of 9-3. Good fastball. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
One thing, pardon me, Robin. One thing that I think is easier today, if it can be easier, is the fact that the game started an hour and a half later than it ordinarily would. And so these later innings, it's not going to be as hot as it would have been with a 1:30 start.
The angle of the sun has certainly helped a little bit to keep it from really being so hot. Fastball fouled back. And it almost got Curtis, who was gazing through the binoculars at some strange object out in the outfield.
Curtis, were you gazing in the outfield, or were you gazing in the stands at some young lady? What were you looking at?
Well, it must be good. He's right back at it.
I'm very glad you're still with us, Curtis, because you came close to leaving us there. Oh, missed him by an inch.
Ooh. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And the breaking ball grounded foul. I'm going to say Sid Fernandez has given up 1 earned run or less in 6 of his last game starts. He's given up 1 earned run in this game. And he's given up more than 3 runs once in his last 13 game starts. So he has been pitching outstanding baseball. His record over those last 13 game starts, 5-2. And he comes back and misses high in the count. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Sid is 5-1 with 2 no decisions in his last 8 starts, and his ERA, to further emphasize your point about how few earned runs he's given up, 1.94.
And a base hit into center field as Garcia gets on for the 3rd time in this game. Samuel back in with a ball, and Garcia stops at first. So the 2nd hit for the Montreal Expos, and it'll bring up Hubie Brooks, who got the 1st hit back in the 4th inning. Hubie Brooks, while playing shortstop for Montreal back in 1985, drove in 100 runs, the first time a shortstop in the National League had driven in 100 runs since Ernie Banks in 1960. So Hubie, he's a tough hitter. He takes high for ball 1.
Hubie throughout his career has been a very good clutch hitter and a very tough hitter with 2 out or 2 strikes.
And a hit and run man. 1-0 pitch is hit to right field. Strawberry back to the warning track is there. And he makes the catch. Garcia back to first base, 2 men away.
Darryl really played that ball well. He got a good jump and made a good move to position himself back there. Brooks hit it pretty well. A lot of times Darryl will time things, but here he makes his break right away and goes back to where the ball is going to go and makes the play.
So now 2 men away, and Tim Raines the batter. Raines popped up to short his first time up, walked on 4 pitches in the 4th inning, his 2nd at bat. Raines in 1986, the 8th man to lead the National League in batting and also in stolen bases. And he takes a breaking ball over the outside corner.
And Tim Raines, another one, not happy with the width, or maybe we should say the extra width, apparently, of Bob Davidson's strike zone. Timmy walking out and saying something, but I just go back to what I said before. As long as it's called all the time, you got to go up there realizing that that's what it's going to be.
And the fastball fouled back, so it's strike 2.
They're gunning for you, Curtis. You can take heart in the fact that if you do go down, it will be in the course of doing your duty. You're going to dive behind Ralph, huh? And Ralph's diving behind me, so I guess I'm taking it. There's nowhere else to go.
And the moral of that story is put the binoculars away. The 2-strike pitch, and the curveball gets him. And again, Raines unhappy with the call as Sid Fernandez picks up his 6th strikeout. And that will end the inning. One hit, one man left, and the score at the end of 5.5 innings. It's the Montreal Expos 1, the New York Mets nothing. And here's a word from the BF Goodrich Tires. Sixth inning, Montreal leading 1-0. Two other important ball games to the Mets. Chicago and Pittsburgh, and Philadelphia and St. Louis. Both those games in the 10th inning. Tied up at 4, Chicago 4, Pittsburgh 4. Pittsburgh batting in the bottom of the 10th inning. Philadelphia 1, St. Louis 1, with Philadelphia batting in the top of the 10th.
Ladies and gentlemen, leading off for the Mets, second baseman Keith Miller.
And it will be Keith Miller, the leading off for the Mets. The third time he has led off an inning. He has struck out and singled. After he had singled in the third, he was picked off at first. Mets no runs on 4 hits, and the Expos 1 run on 2. Kevin Gross on the mound for Montreal, acquired from the Philadelphia Phillies. And his fastball in there, called strike. Miller with 3 hits, and he has been up 11 times since rejoining the Mets. At Tidewater, he batted .266 before his recall. And he takes high, and it's 1-1. Miller has hit in 5 of his last 6 games, and that goes back to before being sent out to Tidewater. And a ground ball to the shortstop, Spike Owen. 1 away. 1 away, and Sam Well will be the batter. Juan with a base hit and 2 times up has hit the ball well twice.
He's hit the ball well a lot lately, as you look at Sid Fernandez in the dugout. Samuel, since being moved to the #1 spot or #2 spot, from #1 to #2, including his 2 at-bats today, has had 11 hits and 24 at-bats as a #2 hitter.
And the sidearm fastball he called strike. So Kevin Gross dropping down to the sidearm delivery against a former teammate, Juan Samuel.
And on the pitch, Tim Wallach, the third baseman, was halfway down the line. Now he's back about even with the bag.
And he goes sidearm. It's hit by Wallach, but it is foul. So Wallach, who was moving in on that pitch, also almost got trapped.
Now he'll move back behind the bag with 2 outs, or 2 strikes, I should say.
Two strikes to count to Samuel. And the hard slider, a ball, and it's 1-2. Samuel.
Raining in Pittsburgh. 4-4. Pittsburgh batting in the bottom of the 10th inning, but it's stopped by rain. Philadelphia St. Louis also in the 10th inning, tied 1-1.
Samuel coming into this game hitting .275 in a Mets uniform when he fouls off that pitch to keep the count of 1-2. His 39th game as a New York Mets player, as you look at Howard Johnson on deck. Baltimore at home against Texas, also in the 10th inning, tied up at 2. So extra ball games, extra inning ball games. Baltimore started their action 2.5 games up on Cleveland, 2.5 up on Boston, 2.5 up on Toronto, with Toronto winning today. Milwaukee 3.5 back, and the Yankees lost to Toronto today, so the Yankees now at this point 5.5 games back of Baltimore. Yankees lost to Toronto 6-5.
And Robert Buck Rogers has seen his lead diminish to a tie with Chicago coming into today's action.
And a hard smash, but it's foul. So the count remains at 1-2. The Expos in first place over their last 40 games. And they got there by beating the Mets and Doc Gooden on June 26th. You're watching Mets baseball 89 on WWOR-TV, Secaucus, New Jersey. And the fastball hit hard to Galarraga, who makes a fine play on it. And again, Samuel hits it on the nose.
3 line drives for Sammy today, but only 1 hit to show for it.
Third baseman Howard Johnson.
He has really done a good job of taking the outside pitch the other way. He lined hard to right his second time up in the 3rd inning, and here he scalds one right at the big cat.
That'll bring up Howard Johnson. Howard 0 for 2. Johnson with 2 home runs against Kevin Gross this year. Came into this game hitting .296, second in home runs with 27, third in runs batted in with 70. And the fastball for ball 1. Mets trailing 1-0, 2 men away, bottom half of the 6th inning. This year, Howard Johnson, not counting this game, hitting .422 against Montreal with 5 home runs. He has 15 in his career against the Expos. And 2 of the 5 home runs off Kevin Gross. And the lollipop curveball, a ball, and it's 2-0. Stop drop.
Gross is the one who didn't like the call on that one. He stood and stared in at Bob Davidson. Davidson tells him to get back to work.
Big difference on the road and at home, huh?
Yeah. I'll tell you what, that Howard Johnson has been so consistent really since day 1 this year. The only difference really is that 1 home run difference.
Two balls, no strikes. And a foul ball that'll be back out of play. Stan Musial in his major league career hit exactly the same on the road as he did at home.
Well, if you can hit, you got to be able to hit anywhere, right?
That's right. Shouldn't make any difference. It's still 60 feet 6 inches from the pitcher's mound, pitcher's plate to home plate.
90 feet between bases. Wherever you go. After that, it changes a little bit.
Two balls, 1 strike. Johnson in this series with a 3-run home run. That was in the first game won by the Mets 11-5. And the fastball for a ball, and it's 3-1.
Hojo may leave his feet right here if the ball is to his liking. He is in a real good position to pick one out.
Howard 4 for 10 so far in this series. So the 3-1 pitch on the way. And it's a strike call, so it's 3-2.
Gross painting that, no pun intended, painting that outside corner.
Probably painted it black. The black part of the home plate is in ball territory, but you often hear players talking about he got the black, and that means he got right on the corner on the strike. That was one of the winning banners right there. I think it was number 1, as a matter
Tell you
of
what,
fact.
that's a great banner, and Hojo has been the Mets' Batman without any question.
And he fouls off the 3-2 pitch, so the count remains at the full count. Philadelphia got 3 runs in the top of the 10th against the Cardinals. They now lead 3-1 with the Cardinals batting in the bottom of the 10th inning. Let's go to Philadelphia for a 3-game series right after this series is completed. And Frank Viola will be on the mound for the second time for the Mets, in that against Ken Howell, Philadelphia's best pitcher. Howell with a record 9-7, Viola 1-0. Again, the 3-2 pitch, and a breaking ball swung on and missed. It gets away from the catcher Santovenia, but his throw to first completes the strikeout, and the Mets go in order. That is 8 in a row for Kevin Gross, and he picks up his second strikeout. The score at the end of 6 as Tim McCarver joins Steve Zabriskie. It's the Montreal Expos 1, the New York Mets.
Take a look at Kevin Gross and Sid Fernandez. Their selections of pitches today almost identical. Same with the numbers. Don't you think it's a little late to be telling Karen not to come to Shea Stadium here in the 7th inning?
I forgot.
Oh.
But since I promised him I'd do it, I had to do it.
Well, sure you haven't had any messages like in your pocket that you from last year or
Quite a
something?
few. I'm sure there are 100 phone calls I have not returned.
The Iceman cometh, and it's in the person of Keg Gross. Kevin Gross.
It's a keg of ice.
Yeah, it's a Freudian slip, I think, here on this muggy hot day. A ball and no strikes to Andres Galarraga.
We could use a little of that up here.
Tell you, on some hot muggy days, I've seen guys come in and just put feet, spikes, everything right in a bucket of water by the time they're ready to go out there, especially on artificial surface.
Boy.
1-1 to Galarraga. The lone run coming in the 4th inning. And the curve outside. 2 balls and 1 strike. That's an idea of how hard Fernandez can throw when he overpowers strong guys like Galarraga, even when Galarraga's ahead in the count. 2-2.
This is why it's so unusual that Sid on the radar gun is not timed at more than 90 miles an hour, because his fastball has the appearance of being on top of the hitter so fast.
And it was on top of Galarraga then. 7 strikeouts now for Fernandez. Santovenia coming up.
Well, this one was so quick, Galarraga didn't even see it all. All he could do was take it, and again on the outside corner.
Yeah, the one thing that radar gun doesn't do, it doesn't tell you how a pitcher releases the ball, and that's one of the most important things in getting hitters out.
Well, I think too there's a lot of margin of error in those guns, because if a pitch is high, it's a high fastball, it's going to read faster than if it's a fastball lower in the strike zone.
Base hit for Santovenia, number 3 for the Expos.
And that's not necessarily the case. I mean, you can throw a fastball at the knees. Well, maybe you can't, but some major league pitchers can. With just the same amount of velocity, maybe even more, that they throw one up around the letters. But on the radar gun, the one up around the letters and the shoulders will consistently read higher than the pitch that is lower in the strike zone.
If that's the case, why is it that I drive low on the highway and I get stopped by...
You need an 18-wheeler.
Maybe I've been driving too high on the highways. Swing and a miss. It's 0-1 to Spike Owen.
Did you get a ducat, my friend?
No, I haven't had one
lately?
in several years, as a matter of fact, but I used to get several. I'm not saying I was Jose Canseco-ish. I had my share of tickets.
Drive a little lower, maybe it'll help.
Yeah, so I figured if I drove a little lower, it would show lower on the radar gun. Pennsylvania, not much of a base stealing threat at first. He has stolen 2 of 3. It's a 1-0 ball game here in the 7th inning. The Mets trying to sweep, but they trail the Expos. 0-2 to Owen.
Here's Sid's high heat right here. And as is normally the case on a pitch up, Owen a little underneath it, but he had it timed fairly well. When you see a ball fouled straight back, the hitter is usually not behind the pitch very much.
Curve outside and low, a ball and 2 strikes to Owen. The Spike Owen deal filled a hole for the Expos and also for the Boston Red Sox. John Dobson doing a good job, and Luis Rivera's up. They were traded for Owen. This one fouled back right below us. Still 1-2 to Spike Owen.
Expos have been looking for a shortstop. Hubie Brooks did an admirable job for a few years there, but they wanted him to play the outfield, and Hubie has found a home and right now that Spike is playing short.
Curveball, and it's low. 2-2 to Spike Owen, much to the displeasure of Steve Zabriskie.
Well, look at this pitch. Now here's another instance, and Ralph mentioned this earlier, where sometimes the umpire gets fooled.
That's a good point.
I think Spike Owen got fooled here. Look at him lock right up, and I think Bob Davidson might have got, and it was almost an identical pitch the time before.
2-2 now. Got him with strikes. Strikeout number 8 for Fernandez. The Mets need some runs. They trail 1-0 mid-7th, and we're back after this from Kentucky Fried Chicken. All right. Fernandez has given up only 3, but a sacrifice fly by Tim Wallach in the 4th inning, scoring Damaso Garcia, and it's 1-0 Montreal. Strawberry, McReynolds, and Magadan up for the Mets. In a game such as this, Steve, I think you lose sight of the fact of the early scoring opportunities that the Mets had. They had Samuel in scoring position in the 1st. Kevin McReynolds led off the 2nd with a double. He was thrown out at home. Magadan failing to take 2nd. McReynolds thrown out at home. And then on what appeared to be a harmless pop-up in the middle of the infield, Magadan stops at 2nd. Had he been on 2nd, he probably scores on that ball. So a strange 2nd inning. The Mets never scored. They haven't scored in the ball game. Keith Miller was picked off a 1st after a leadoff single in the 3rd.
Bad base running and the lack of the key hit at the right time.
Strawberry doubled off 2nd on the line drive by Dave Magadan. So some bad base running by the Mets have found them in this position. 1-0 trailing the Expos. It's a ball and no strikes to Darryl Strawberry. Curveball hit deep to right. Back is Brooks. Out of here. 1-1 game. Strawberry's first home run since July 21st.
was the 15th home run given up by Kevin Gross. Darrell's 23rd of the year, and it hit the base of the scoreboard.
McReynolds now. The fans want a bow from Strawberry. Strike one to McReynolds. Boy, did he juice that one. It hit the scoreboard in right field. 0-2 to McReynolds.
This ball, a curveball down. Now watch Darrell go down and get it and then send it up and out of here. It hits the diet right Cola sign at the base of the scoreboard, and that's got to be traveling close to 400 feet.
0-2 to McReynolds. A 1-1 game now here in the 7th inning. Got him with the slider. 3 strikeouts now for Kevin Gross. Well, this is the thing dreams are made of, huh, Steve?
Yeah, that was the winning banner, the Field of Dreams. And watch, Darrell's got the sleeves rolled up. And watch him unleash this bat. The curl and then right down and through the ball. He knew it was gone the minute he hit it. Said, I'll just take this one in for a couple of strides till I get into my home run trot. And there's Richard Corelli's banner. And boy, what a lot of work went into that. The Field of Dreams, the banner day winner today.
Well, the Mets have gone through some nightmarish periods this year. They trail the Expos by 5 coming in. If they win it and the Cubs lose, they'll be only 4 back. Well, that was a detailed poster there. Beautiful. Strike one. 1-1 to Magadan, who is 1 for 2 on the afternoon.
Casey Stengel used to call them placards. All those people who brought placards to the ballpark. Well, Banner Day, or as Casey might have wanted to have it called, Placard Day, became a tradition while Casey was the manager here in just a very short time. It was a tradition almost immediately.
Slop drop for a strike. 1-2. With Casey Stengel, every day was banter day.
How true, how true. Well, this is close to the eephus pitch of the old-timer Rip Sewell. And that is a very, very slow overhand curveball. Frank Viola throws a very slow curve, but it's more of a sweeping breaking ball. Gross's is a straight drop.
High, ball 2. 2-2 to Magadan. Zane Smith, the fine left-hander of the Expos, with new life, a new ball club, taking his 1-12 record to Montreal. And he's got to be the best 1-12 pitcher for any season in the history of the big league.
Well, you're not kidding.
I mean, you don't find a lot of left-handers up there wanting to hit against Zane Smith. He is nasty. Tapped foul, still 2-2.
Magadan stands right on top of the plate. He really crowds the plate. And teams continue to pitch him inside. And I think, Timmy, one of the reasons that Dave has hit the ball and pulled the ball with more authority this year than he has in the past is he has adjusted to what they have been doing to him. And they started pitching him inside because of that inside-out stroke that he had. Now he's taking that inside pitch and pulling it with authority far more frequently.
Curve, he went too far. 4 strikeouts now for Gross. And the batter, Mackey Sasser.
Let's check out the Nissan National League scoreboard. Games in extra innings. Still a rain delay in Pittsburgh. 4-4 in the 10th inning. Cincinnati over Atlanta 3-2. Also in the 10th. Now St. Louis batting in the bottom of the 10th. Philadelphia scoring 3 in the top of the 10th. The lead 4-1. LA leading San Francisco 1-0. Houston leading, or rather LA leading San Diego 1-0. Houston leading San Francisco 1-0. St. Louis has scored now 2 runs in the bottom of the 10th. It is 4-3 Philadelphia. Memories are brought to you by The Wiz. It was August 11th, 1987. Bottom of the 7th inning, 1 out, nobody on, and it was Big Mac who hit a solo home run against Randy St. Clair. And the Mets beat the Expos 6-2 that night. Remember, nobody beats the Wiz.
And Kevin's outfield partner in the other corner, Darryl Strawberry, his solo home run today has tied it off Kevin Gross, and Kevin's going to lead it off here in the 8th inning. Bit of a surprise here, Steve.
I think so. The Expos had a pinch hitter out ready to go, and then all of a sudden he went back in the dugout and Gross came up to hit. The only thing I can think of is that Kevin pleaded his case
maybe
to stay in the game and won. So he can not only paint, he can be an attorney if he wanted to, I guess, arguing his case.
Andres Galarraga, a painter also, so I guess unofficially Kevin Gross and Andres Galarraga in the Expos with the most painters on a roster in the major leagues. 1-1 to Gross.
Kevin Gross may also be the best pitching painter in the world today,
possibly,
as opposed to the best painting pitcher.
Yeah. On the corner, a ball and 2 strikes to Gross.
And if that isn't a giant who cares, I don't know what is.
Pascual Perez, the very colorful right-hander for the Expos.
Check out that uniform, open near the navel, and about 42 pounds of chains on it.
Inside to Gross, 2-2.
Well, while Bob Davidson has been calling the pitch on the outside corner, the one that Sid Fernandez wants that he has not called at all has been that breaking ball down and into right-handers. Sid just can't get a call on that pitch, and that's an important pitch for him. He's used it as an out pitch a lot.
Gross goes down. That's strikeout number 9 for Fernandez this year, or on the afternoon. I was checking my stats. Only 1 time this year has he gone over 10, and that was his 16th strikeout game in Atlanta.
A little bit of heat up and away, and there's no way Gross could catch up to him. I want to take a minute to send our best to Jackie Pamelani from her boss here at the Mets, Al Harrison, and all of us and all the people in the front office. Jackie expecting her first child, and it is due, I understand, mañana.
Mañana is good enough for me, as Peggy Lee used to say.
Oh, I hope it's good enough for Jackie.
Yes.
So we wish you the best, Jackie.
Otis Nixon now with 1 out, nobody on, a 1-1 ball game. The Mets are pinching their corner infielders. Johnson in at third, Magadan in at first. I thought I would explain that further. 1-0 to Nixon.
Conjures up infielders pinching each other.
Yes. That's one of the reasons Nixon can fly. He is 0 for 7 in his 2 starts. 0 for 4 in Friday night's game. Buddy Harrelson in charge of infield play.
Nixon's only had 3 hits in his last 29 at bats.
And he wanted to bunt again, and he takes a fastball on a corner. 1-2 to Otis Nixon.
That pitch that Nixon just had called a strike. Not ordinarily a strike, but today it's been a strike all day.
For the 20th time in his career, Sid Fernandez has gone into double figures in strikeouts. That is his 10th on the afternoon, and Nixon has fanned 3 times.
Second baseman, Damaso Garcia.
While Sid has not been able to get the call on the breaking ball down and in, he has really used that fastball over the outside corner to pick up a lot of strikeouts today, and that is only the 2nd called 3rd strike.
The other to Andres Galarraga, and Garcia goes too far. Damaso Garcia has scored the only run. for the Expos, and Damaso has had a good day. He has walked twice, and he singled to center. He scored in the 4th inning on a sacrifice fly by Tim Wallach. 43,658 strong paid attendance this afternoon. Curve is high, 1-1. Speaking of painters, Van Gogh would be proud, as it appears to be an impressionist painting of the late 1890s. Monet and Van Gogh looking on with pride. Huh? 2 balls and a strike to Garcia.
The shot of the stadium with the crowd, it does remind you of a Monet with the various colors. And as you might expect, the only empty seats are in the upper corners of the upper deck.
A little looper to center, and it's going to drop. So Garcia has been on base all 4 times. He is now 2 for 2, and the batter Hubie Brooks.
Garcia is the only guy that Sid has not been able to figure out how to get out.
Right fielder.
Let's check out the Nissan American League scoreboard.
Game. Only Seattle and Texas play games at night on Sunday. Behind home plate, he's flied to right and singled to center. High, ball 1. Brooks has 8 home runs on the year. How about that? The St. Louis Cardinals coming back against the Phillies. Phillies had taken the lead 4-1. It looks like Roger McDowell took the loss, but nope, it's Larry McWilliams. Curve for a strike, 1-2 to Hubie Brooks. It's 1-1 here at Shea. We're in the 8th. 2 out, 1 on, 1-2 to Brooks.
Well, between Chicago, St. Louis, New York, and Montreal, especially if the Mets win this game, and at the same time Pittsburgh could beat Chicago as they are tied 4-4 in a rain delay in the 10th, things would really accordion up in a quick hurry.
Ground ball toward third by Johnson. So Brooks with his 2nd hit. The diving Johnson looked like it went under him. And a guy that you do not want to see up there is the batter, Tim Raines.
Watch the overspin on this ball. Brooks beats it down, but he hits it with such authority that it just goes right on into the outfield very quickly. Ojo diving for it, but wasn't even able to touch it. And this is where Sid Fernandez has to be watched very carefully, and Mel Stottlemyre just pops out of the dugout.
High, ball 1. High, ball 2 to Raines. 2 balls and no strikes to Tim Raines. And we're in the wondrous world of the satellite dish now, and I would imagine the Chicago Cubs and Pittsburgh Pirates are seeing this game at Three Rivers in Pittsburgh. It's 2-0 to Raines, 2 on, 2 out here in the 8th. High, ball 3. 3 balls and no strikes. Raines, a very selective hitter. You think he'll be hitting here?
I don't think so.
And he wasn't. And he walks on 4 straight high fastballs. So we'll see what Davy Johnson will do with Jeff Ennis warming the bullpen and Tim Wallach the batter. Davy Johnson will allow starters to pitch themselves out of jams. High, ball 1. 1-0 to Wallach. 5 in a row thrown by Raines. And for the most part, Steve, like you said, they've been in the same spot, up and away.
When Sid gets tired, and it's a habit all pitchers can fall into when they are tired. They don't come through all the way, and the ball stays up and away to a right-handed hitter.
Fly ball center field and playable. Samuel squeezes it for the third out. The Expos fail to score, and after 7.5, we're tied at 1. We're back after this from Amtrak. There aren't more made, or there isn't more made out of those and remembered. And here's a good decision made by Davy Johnson, leaving Sid Fernandez in the game and seeing Sid make Tim Wallach fly out. And boy, nobody's happier than Davy Johnson. We're in the bottom of the 8th inning, a 1-1 game, and here's Steve for the play-by-play.
Thanks, Timmy. Davey saying that a baby.
Yeah.
As he and Mel were cheerleading from the dugout, and those are the kinds of things that really boost a pitcher's confidence. And Sid is like nobody, or is unlike, or is like everybody else, I should say, in the fact that he needs that. You see Greg Jeffries on deck. He will be the pinch hitter for Sid Fernandez, who is scheduled up second as Kevin Elster leads it off against Kevin Gross. 1-1, bottom of the 8th inning. Elster, who's been on fire, is without a hit today. He reached on an error when a pop-up was dropped in the 2nd inning, and he popped out to first base in the 5th. But he is working on a 5-game hitting streak over which he's hit over 400. And he's hit .397 in his last 18, and he pops up for the 3rd time. Spike Owen in short left field. 1 away. Strike 1. Sid leaves the game with, at the very least, a no decision and an opportunity to win it should the Mets take the lead here and hold it. Jeffries to bunt, but he takes strike 2. Randall K. Myers now throwing for New York. Foul back, still 0-2. Keith Miller, the leadoff hitter, on deck as Jeffries bats with 1 out and nobody on. Curveball fouled off as it hits the front of the Montreal dugout. Then it hits the third base bag and winds up in the infield. They were scattering. Bryn Smith is ready with the first baseman's mitt. Ooh, it hit Jeffries right on the leg, maybe the foot. A breaking ball bearing down and in, and Jeffries starting his swing unable to get out of the way, so he'll be at first.
Yeah, it appeared, by the way, Greg is limping, that it hit him in the thigh, the left thigh. We'll see. Watch him turn on it. Yeah, it hit him in the left thigh, right in the groin area. It was not a fastball. There's a better angle right here. Right in the left groin. So Jeffries appears to be all right running at first base. Keith Hernandez is now going to be the pinch hitter for Keith Miller. And I assume that, or that the assumption is that Jeffries is all right to play. I mean, Miller's out of the game. Jeffries will go in to play second.
Well, the Mets do still have Tim Tuffle to play second should Jeffries be unable to go, but Hernandez will bat for Keith Miller.
That might be all for Kevin Gross. You see, The Expos picked up Smith, and he has tossed 9 2/3 no-hit ball before allowing his first Expo hit, and that was to Joe Oliver back on June 22nd. Make that July 22nd. So this guy can flat get you out, and with the left-handed Hernandez hitting, I would think, as you see Rafael Landestoi talking to Nelson Santovenia, I would think that if Hernandez gets ahead, Dave, you'll put the hit and run on. If the first pitch is a ball, it's a good time to hit and run 1-0.
Hernandez just can hardly run with that stiff knee that has plagued him ever since he broke the kneecap, and then that slide at home really banged it up to a further degree. He is 2 for 6 as a pinch hitter. Keith has had 2 pinch hit RBIs with those 2 pinch hits. And it's high.
Now's the time to do it because you don't have the pitch out. So Sam Perlazzo flashing the sign. We'll see if Jeffries is going to be running. Smith with a good move to first.
And he flips it over there. Jeffries not running, and Hernandez holds up on a pitch inside. Ball 2. And Sammy goes through another sequence. Samuel on deck.
Zane Smith features 2 left-handed hitters, the fastball on the inside part of the plate and the breaking ball away.
Hernandez with a drive to center, caught on the run by Otis Nixon, and Jeffries back to first. Keith hit it a ton, but so here's Juan Samuel, who is 1 for 3 and has hit the ball hard all 3 times up. He takes a strike. Samuel singled to left in the first, stole his 25th base of the year, lined hard to right in the 3rd, and lined hard to Galarraga at first in the 6th. Another snap throw over and a close play at first, but Jeffries back in.
Zane, a lot like Mark Langston, last night's starter for the Expos. As you see play resuming.
Outside, 1-1.
Smith and Langston alike in that they both use that step off the rubber and throw hard to first base in a hurry. And both are so quick and so agile. They're both terrific athletes, and they use that move very effectively with runners at first.
Outside again, 2 balls and 1 strike. We're in the bottom half of the 8th inning of a 1-1 tie. Each team with 5 hits. And the Mets with a runner at first and 2 out. Fouled off out of play down the right field side, and it's 2-2. Another good play. Slow curveball. It just misses. 3-2.
That was a big pitch there because now Jeffries is going to be off and running. Short double, long single. Jeffries could score.
Galarraga, as we look at the pitch again. Galarraga reminding Smith he's now going to play behind Jeffries. Jeffries runs. The pitch grounded up the middle. Base hit center field. And Jeffries will go to third. Samuel's second hit of the day. And the Mets have a go-ahead run at third with 2 out.
Ball with a lot of overspin. Smith keeps the ball down, and that's something to keep in mind, especially since Jeffries is at third right now. Greg going to third easily. A lot of top spin on that ball, and Jeffries walks to third. I don't think Samuel will try to steal unless the count gets to 0-2, 1-2 to Howard Johnson. Then you might take a chance on sending him.
Samuel has stolen 25 in 34 attempts. Howard Johnson 0 for 3. Ball 1. Mojo's first 2 times up, he hit him deep. He flied deep to right and deep to center, and then he struck out swinging to end the 6th inning. Howard now hitting .294 on the year. One ball, one strike. The straw man would be next if Howard Johnson keeps it going. It was Strawberry who homered leading off the 7th that tied the game at 1. Curveball, foul ball, just outside of third.
I mean, just foul. The breaking ball. I think I'd send Samuel right now. It's 1-2 to Johnson. You remember we talked about if it were 0-2, 1-2, Samuel may be running. If Santavena throws through, you may have a chance to pick up a cheap run. Well, certainly the count now is in Smith's favor.
In the dirt. 2-2. I think Santavena wanted that fastball away, and Smith threw it low over the plate.
No way they're going to come inside with the fastball to Johnson. It's either going to be a fastball away or a curveball away. Because Smith's ball moves away, and you make too many sinker ballers make too many mistakes trying to come inside. Smith will stay away with everything.
Now it's 3-2, and Samuel will be running from first. 1-1 tie, bottom of the 8th inning. And the Mets with runners at first and third and 2 out, and a full count to Howard Johnson.
If I'm Santavena, I don't give in to Johnson. You got Strawberry on deck. I'd throw him a curveball right here. We'll find out which way he's going to go. Watch Santavena. One's a fastball, two's a curve. Nope, fastball in.
But it's low, ball 4. Santavena wants the appeal, but Johnson didn't swing, and the bases are loaded for Strawberry.
Keep this in mind, there are none tougher than Zane Smith in the National League as far as lefty-to-lefty matchups. None tougher. I've talked to left-handed hitters all over the league, and his name is right at the top 1 or 2 guys that they hate to face.
And Mets fans know that Darrow has struggled this year against left-handed pitching. Tim Burke, the closer for the Expos, warming in the bullpen. Strawberry is 1 for 2 with his 23rd homer of the year. Strike 1. On the corner, strike 2.
They're using the first sign. You could see Santavena stress the fastball inside. When that pinky goes down, that means a fastball inside. They're using the first sign. They're going inside again.
Darrell, it's a fly ball into short center field. Nixon a long way to go. He makes the catch. Otis Nixon with what could be a game-saving diving catch. And the inning is over. The Mets leave the bases loaded and the game remains tied at 1 as we go to the 9th after this for AT&T.
So he should be fresh.
Andres Galarraga takes a strike. He doesn't particularly agree either. There's Jeffries at second for Keith Miller. Galarraga with just 6 hits in his last 35 at-bats. Today he has struck out twice and fly deep to center. Down low, 1-1. Galarraga, Santovenia, and Owen to face Myers here in the top of the 9th. Curveball, strike 2, 1-2. There's Nelson Santovenia on deck. Skied to shallow right center. Strawberry calling. 1 away.
I'll tell you, Steve, swing.
On the other hand, Nelson Santovenia has grounded sharply to third, fly deep to left, and singled to left. So he has been pulling the ball with authority. But the Expos offensively, Buck Rogers told me before the game today, they are not going to win if Wallach, Galarraga, and Brooks do not hit.
They're going through a bad spell, and the Mets hope to catch him during that bad spell and capitalize on it, as the Expos did with the Mets up in Montreal. Beat him 3 in a row the last time the Mets were up there.
And the Mets are trying to return the favor. Too tight. Oh, Randy Myers behind Santovenia. 2 balls, no strikes.
That game in the bottom of the 12th now. Cubs and Pirates.
3-0.
The Expos and the Cubs play at Wrigley Field in Chicago tomorrow afternoon. A 3-game series.
One out, nobody on. Top of the 9th, tied at 1.
They open a 3-game series tomorrow. They don't play all 3 games tomorrow.
I can hear Harry now. The triple header. Popped up in the infield. Should be an easy play for Kevin Elster. 2 out in the 9th inning. Especially by catchers who've caught the whole game. Terry Naguer around. Not a rip against catchers.
No, I agree with you.
Just a tougher day for them than anybody else.
Cool.
Thank you, Elmer. Spike Owens 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. And he grounds one by Johnson. Ojo diving in the dirt for the 2nd time. Coming up empty. Owen took a big turn. And Kevin McReynolds had an idea that he might want to throw behind him. And Owen scampered back to first.
Johnson, even with the bag and on the line, diving for the ball. I suppose you have to play Spike Owen on the line right there. See, here's one of those things about a double switch, though. Martinez went in there as the best outfielder for the Expos in the double switch in the bottom of the 8th, and now Buck Rogers is going to have to use a pinch hitter. Of course you are.
Of an inning if the Expos took the lead in the top half, if you wanted to do that just for defense.
Yeah, kind of an interesting situation the last inning.
So Rex Hudler batting for Dave Martinez. Grounds it to short. Elster over with another good play. And the inning is over. 1 hit, 1 left in the 9th. And we go to the bottom of the 9th inning.
Martinez in with the double switch to begin with. Even though you do have Smith out there, this is a very interesting managerial inning for Buck Rogers, the last inning or so.
I think what you do is let Martinez hit, because the chances of Hudler hitting a home run are not much greater than Martinez. And you have 2 out with a runner at first base.
Yeah, right. 2 out and a runner at first. If the runner's at second in scoring position, it's a different situation.
Exactly. So the only chance you really have, the biggest chance you have, is trying to get somebody to hit it out. So if you want somebody to hit it out, Rex Hudler's not your guy, and now Martinez is lost if the game should go to extra innings. So there are arguments both ways, but I don't agree with it. Anyway, Kevin McReynolds does speak softly, and when he speaks, he can and has been known to carry a large stick to the plate. He skies this one to right field, and Hudler will get his first chance. He makes the catch, 1 away. Inside, ball 1.
Now watch Santavena. From you at home, folks, can see where the fastball is going to be. The pinky will be the fastball inside to left-handers. See, the pinky.
And it's too far inside, ball 2. Dave batting with 1 out and nobody on. In the bottom of the 9th, we're tied at 1.
Fastball away. That's his strike fastball.
And it's in there. 2-1.
The get him out fastball is the pinky. The strike fastball is the digit on the right hand. Index finger.
He wants this one away. Right over the plate. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Mackey Sasser on deck.
Pinky, inside fastball.
Check swing
Case with the pinky and then the index finger. 1-run ball games. The Mets 11-3 at home, but 3-20 on the road in 1-run games.
Magadan lines it, but Spike Owen gets it for out number 2. Second time that Magadan has lined out to left, and he tries to bunt his way on.
That's a terrible play. Absolutely terrible.
Mackey's capable of hitting the ball out of the park.
You know, it's a funny thing. When Mackey tried that earlier in the year, I went to him the next day and I said, I want you to know what we said on the air. I said it was a terrible play. He said, don't look for me to do that again. 2 out, nobody on. He tries to bunt again.
Now he's in the hole, 0-2.
Well, the idea is you don't put guys on the line like Galarraga and Wallach to have the hitter bunt. They're trying to take the extra base hit away. You've got to try to get the extra base hit. You can't bunt.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Well, if you've got a guy who's not a home run hitter, who has good speed and can steal second base.
That's different.
That's different.
Otis Nixon, different story.
Right. Mackey's a slow runner, so he's not going to be doing that.
Nixon's in front of him, and he allows the ball to roll foul.
Well, David is not aggressive either offensively or defensively, and if he had been more aggressive defensively, he had an easy out.
Nixon's right in front of him.
That's right. And here's a guy you want to keep off the base pad.
Inside, 1-1. Nixon is 0 for 4. He has struck out 4 times. We are in extra innings.
And let me correct something I said. Ralph has a Kiner's corner to do as soon as this game is over.
That's right.
So he is not going to rejoin us until the game is over.
Outside and high, Randy Myers in relief of Sid Fernandez. Sid pitched very well. He worked 8 strong innings, striking out 10 and walking 3. And your extra innings, the Expos, for the last couple of years, have been dominating in extra innings. Ball 3 to Otis Nixon. If I'm Nixon, I'm taking right here. And that game in Pittsburgh has gone to the 13th.
We're right on their heels now.
High, ball 4. So Nixon walks. And remember, the way we saw it, Magadan had a play to field that ball in fair territory. He allowed it to go foul, and now Nixon's at first base with nobody out, so look for Garcia to bunt.
That play, or lack of a play, on the ball by Nixon could loom very large, as he has great speed. Jackie Moore, the third base coach, perhaps putting on the play, and Garcia now wants to talk to Jackie Moore. Garcia uncertain.
And he's punting, and it's a beauty. Myers shuffling off to Jeffries covering, and Nixon at second base, so the sacrifice successful. And we're going to try to take one more look at the bunt by Otis Nixon that rolled foul.
Nixon on the first pitch tries to push it by Myers for a base hit. Now you see Magadan laying back, waiting for the ball, letting it go foul. Had he charged that ball, then he would have been able to tag Otis Nixon out. Now here's Garcia's bunt. Myers has to field it. It's a good one. And Randy with a little backhanded flip to Jeffries covering. So Otis Nixon is in scoring position, move one out.
Wallace Johnson was out in the on-deck circle, and now it's going to be Mike Fitzgerald who is coming out. And that is superb. So the other thing to keep in mind is Nixon at second. He can fly. Swing and a miss by Fitzgerald. 0-1. One out, one on, 1-1. We're in the 10th.
4 and the 2 around, and that's what Mike's hitting as a pinch hitter.
High ball. Myers thinking the same thing. Jeffries very close at second base. You can afford to do this because Fitzgerald is a pull hitter.
Jeffries playing way out of position over near the bag in an attempt to keep Nixon as close as possible. So there's a huge hole on the right side.
Nixon with an idea then. It's 1-1 to Fitzgerald. Nixon has stolen 25, make that 28 bases. He has been caught 11 times. Outside and high, ball 2, 2-1. The Cardinals won their game with 4 in the bottom of the 10th. They beat the Phillies 5-4. An obviously important game for both clubs here at Shea. 1-1 tie here in the 10th. 1 on, 1 out. Low ball 3, 3-1. The one glaring thing about Randy Myers in his year this year is bases on balls. He has already walked considerably more than he did all of last year. And he walks another one. Fitzgerald on. Myers' second walk in this. 1 out, 2 on in the 10th. 1-1 game. High, ball 1. 1-0 to Tim Raines.
Since the start of this inning,
Ninth inning, a 1-1 game, 2 on. Count 1 ball, no strikes to Tim Raines, and 1 out. Ball 2, 2-0. 6 in a row thrown by Myers. Jeff Ennis now back up and throwing for the Mets. Popped up, and that could have been ball 3. It was 6 hits for both teams. The only error made by the Expos. Inside, ball 3. 3-1 to Raines. Strike right there, 3-2. We'll see if the runners are running. if they do run, you might think, if you're the catcher, about the trail runner, Mike Fitzgerald, instead of trying to nail Nixon.
Chances are much greater of getting Fitzgerald than they are gunning down Otis Nixon, who flies.
There go the runners swinging a foul ball.
To keep him close. See, Nixon was almost all the way to third anyway.
There go the runners. Ground ball left side. Elster has only one play, and it's too late. So the bases are loaded and one out. Kevin Elster dogging Nixon at second base, and we're running. So Davy Johnson will make a move. It is rare that you see Randy Myers pulled in the middle of an inning. But the bases are loaded, one out. Jeff Ennis.
Used by New York.
I'll tell you, the shot of who was to the left of Randy Myers, very important in considering the Mets have traded away their best two right-handed relievers. And you see Frank Viola. In obtaining Viola, they had to get rid of Aguilera. McDowell left earlier. Popped up in the infield. Infield fly rule in effect. 2 outs. Jeff Ennis is halfway home.
I guess it's time to one more time explain the infield fly rule. First of all, Tim Wallach, known for the fact that he has this loop in his swing, and the way Jeff Ennis's ball reacts, it's very easy to hit the bottom half of it. And with Wallach's loop and Ennis's pitch, a pop-up was a very appropriate thing. In the infield fly rule, with runners at first and second, or the bases loaded and less than 2 outs, if in the opinion of the umpire the ball can be handled by an infielder, the batter is automatically out.
And the curve to Galarraga, strike one, 0-1.
The runners can advance even on a play like that should the ball not be caught, but they do so even after the catch at their own risk. So that's this month's lesson on the infield fly rule.
Good play by Sasser. Oh boy. Fastball in the dirt, and Mackie Sasser, just like a hockey goalie, makes a great save. 1-1.
That's a glove save right here. This is a tough hop because of the way the ball was thrown so close to him. It was a short hop play and could have very easily gone over his glove or over his shoulder.
So a fine play by Sasser saves at least 1 run. Bases loaded, 2 outs. 1-1 to Galarraga. Inside, ball 2, 2-1.
While Bob Davidson has given the pitchers the outside corner, he has not given them the inside corner.
2 balls, 1 strike. Ground ball up the middle. Elster steps on second for the 3rd out. Jeff Ennis comes in and retires Tim Wallach, and Andres Galarraga and the Expos fail to score. Montreal is now stranded 11 through 9.5. Still 1-1. We're back after this from Nissan. Brother. Outside corner, strike 1. 0-1 to Elster.
And yet Elster has pulled quite a few pitches down the line during his hot streak over the last 18 or 19 games.
I know what you're thinking. That slider down and into Hesketh. If Hesketh is going to throw any pitches to Elster, he should try to keep the ball away as he did on the first one. And that one was a fastball away, so 0-2. Greg Jeffries on deck. That game in Pittsburgh, Chicago, 4-4 in the 14th inning. A game delayed by rain. And the Expos and Cubs play each other tomorrow.
And it is a day game at Wrigley Field.
Way outside, 1-2 to Elster. Both teams dog tired, no question about it. Hot, humid. Cut the tension with a knife. Big series and a big game right here. Still 1-2 to Elster.
If the Mets don't win this game, they lose much of what they have gained by winning the first two. To really make it effective at this point in time, they really need to win this third game and complete the sweep. Both for reasons of the standings and psychologically.
Sharply by Garcia at second base. That was that in-between hop as Elster hit it sharply. We'll see how it's going to be scored. I'd score it a hit.
I would too. Garcia's only chance really is to try to knock this ball down, and that's what he tries to do. It is scalded, and that in-between hop is so close to him that he's trying to knock it down. Sure, he'd like to catch it. That would be a minor miracle. But he's thinking, knock this sucker down and try to throw him out, and he was unable to do it.
Tim Burke back and throwing for the Expos in their bullpen. Greg Jeffries probably will be bunting. Jeffries squares around, and it's a beauty. So Galarraga over to Garcia. The potential winning run is at second. All is said and done. Hesketh working to Tim Teufel. One out. Low, ball one. 1-0. Burke is the ace with 23 saves, a 6-2 record. The Mets have no more left-handers up. It's a ball and no strikes to Tim Teufel. Ground ball left side. Wallach throws Teufel out. 2 outs.
Can be less effective from the right side. I don't think you walk Samuel to get to Hojo.
Outside corner, strike one. The one thing about pitching to Samuel, as you see Johnson on deck, is that Sammy's a wilder swinger than Hojo too. If you get ahead of Samuel, he may chase a bad ball in the dirt. Everybody trying to conceal their feelings, but you can see it on their faces. Santavena wants something inside and up, so it'll be a fastball.
Santavena was giving, you know, it's got to be a fastball.
Slider lifted to center field, and that should be the end of it. And it is, as the Mets failed.
And Rex Hudler are due up as Santavena takes the strike. Santavena on the day 1 for 4. He had a single to left back in the 7th. Grounded at third. Johnson bobbles, but still gets it. Santavena with a dangerous, and that came close. Santavena came close to hurting himself. So 1 out and nobody on in the 11th inning, and here's Spike Owen, who is also 1 for 4, and he takes inside on the corner for strike one.
Sometimes you're so tired that you forget the importance of the game that you're playing.
That's true. It starts to, your brain gets numbed.
Yeah.
Well hit to right field. Strawberry on the move has it.
I would imagine that's the way the Cubs.
Right in there, strike one. Jeff Ennis did a great job for New York in the 10th inning, ending the inning, entering the game with the bases loaded and 1 out. This ball playable in the infield. Howard Johnson taking charge near the mound, and the inning is over as Don Ossie gets the Expos in order in the 11th. Maine will be cheering loudly because here in the bottom of the 11th inning, it is Howard Johnson, Darryl Strawberry, and Kevin McReynolds to face Joe Hesketh of a 1-1 tie. Hojo 0 for 3 plus a walk. 2 of the 3 times up, he hit the ball very well, flying deep to right and deep to center. And he struck out in the 6th. Jeff Hewson into the game at second base, replacing Damaso Garcia. Ball 1. Hesketh pitched out of mild trouble in the 10th inning, his first inning of work after Elster led off with a base hit and was sacrificed to second. He got Tuffle and Samuel to end the inning. Ball 2. Neither has been close. Fouled off at the plate. 2 balls, 1 strike. Available players are getting slim. The Expos have Wallace Johnson and Mike Aldretti. Strawberry on deck for New York. The Mets have Carter, Lyons, and Carrion. And there's the kid. Popped up short right field. Houston going out. Gives way to Hudler. Strike 1. Kevin McReynolds on deck. Strike 2. Fouled off again. Off the handle, up the middle, but a base hit into center field. Strawberry didn't exactly tattoo that ball, but he picks up his second hit of the day. And with speed will be at first base with 1 out, carrying center. McReynolds with a double in 4 at-bats. Right in there, strike 1. You're watching Mets Baseball 89 on WWOR-TV, Secaucus, New Jersey. Steve Zabriskie and Tim McCarver. Ralph Kiner standing by for Kiner's Corner if and when the game ends.
Stretching. It's a very, very unusual motion.
Even though Strawberry was not far off the bag when he throws over there. Outside, you could see him.
Very, very unusual.
He could use that as a timing mechanism. One. A routine fly ball to right field. Rex Hudler is not a routine right fielder, but he makes the routine.
That's right now. These guys are tired.
Magadan takes a strike. You really have to have a strong top hand to handle that kind of pitch with authority as a right-handed hitter. And when your muscles are fatigued, you just can't make that wrist roll like it has to.
So therefore, if you're a catcher or pitcher now, you do not opt for the slow curveball. If you want to throw a breaking ball, throw a hard slider.
There was a slider right there. Wallach spears it, and the inning is over. A soft liner the other way for out number 3.
Nixon is 0 for 4, but it was his sparkling catch of the fly ball hit by Darryl Strawberry with the bases loaded in the 8th inning that sent this game to extra innings, and this one bunted towards short, not in time. A design play. Nixon bunted past Ossie and Johnson, and Buck Rogers just said, get him over.
This is Otis Nixon's 17th infield base hit this season.
15.
And what a beauty. Once it gets by Ossie, you can just write it up. Even though Elster made a fine effort and did all that he could do, Nixon just flew down the line and a picture-perfect bunt base hit.
So it's Jeff Hewson who will be called upon to sacrifice. You could just see Buck Rogers say, get him over. I'll tell you, I might opt for a stolen base attempt right here and get him over from second. The way the runs have, as difficult as the runs have been to score. But Hewson bunting all the way, and it's ball 1. 1-0.
Howard Johnson came down the line and just stationed himself about 40 feet from home plate. Now he has moved back, but he will move in again.
Right-handed pitcher. He takes a lot of time to get the ball to the plate. You got a left-handed hitter. Ball and no strikes to Hewson. 9 for 51, batting 176 on the year. One and 0 to Hewson. Nixon not running, and the bunt's a beauty. Ossie will go to first, and the pinch hitter Wallace throughout the year. Wallace Johnson the batter, and he fouls one back. Batting only .227 on the year, and only 7 for 39 for the normally dependable Wallace Johnson as Buck Rogers hits the cooler.
Buck with a qualifying, it's going to be us, meaning the Expos to win it, because he said if we play, Tim, keep playing like we have been playing, and lately they have not.
Foul back, 0-2 to Johnson. The only postseason play for the Expos since their inception in 1969 was the strike-shortened season in 1981. They beat the Phillies in the divisional playoff, and a 3-1 pitch that Rick Mundy hit off Steve Rogers at the Big O spelled the downfall of the Expos and the National League Championship Series. Didn't want to, but he did anyway. High, ball one. 1 and 2. Otis Nixon at second. A fake break. One and 2 to Johnson. Got him. No surprise here. Tim Raines will be walked intentionally to get to high, ball one.
You can see from that graphic, 2 for 21 at Shea for Tim Wallach, and that sac fly, only his second RBI here this year. And that's kind of a turnaround because Wallach in past years has hit the Mets well and done well here at Shea.
Ground ball stood in that 4-4 Cubs score for more reasons than one, because McGaffigan does an outstanding impression of Harry Carey. Line drive, base hit right field.
Mackey Sasser has caught the whole game, and this is not a lazy or tired bat swing. I mean, he got the bat head out on this pitch and drives it into right center field. Second baseman Jeff Houston trying to time the leap. He did a good job of timing it, and he went up high, but it wasn't high enough.
So Kevin Elster will probably sacrifice Mackey, and the Expos may have a play at second. Sasser does not run well at all. And the fastball high, ball one. Davy Johnson often switches it to the hit and run after the first pitch is the ball, as you see Greg Jeffries on deck. We'll see what Davy does. Straight bunt, and it's fouled off, so it's 1-1 to Elster. The one thing you
Second baseman Jeff Houston trying to time the leap. He did a good job of timing it, and he went up high, but it wasn't high enough.
So Kevin Elster will probably sacrifice Mackey, and the Expos may have a play at second. Sasser does not run well at all. And the fastball high, ball one. Davy Johnson often switches it to the hit and run after the first pitch is the ball, as you see Greg Jeffries on deck. We'll see what Davy does. Straight bunt, and it's fouled off, so it's 1-1 to Elster. The one thing you love to see, all of the outfielders on that sacrifice were moving to their proper stations. Hudler was moving toward first. Nixon was coming in. Raines was coming in. Taking nothing for granted. An overthrow, they might be there. Tight. Ball two, 2-1.
This would be a good time to put the hit and run on right now with the count 2-1. Davy, we're going to switch it. Might give Elster one chance here.
We'll see what Davy Johnson does. The count 2 balls and a strike. 1-1 game here in the bottom of the 12th. There goes Sasser, and the hit and run was indeed on, but it's a fly ball to center. And Nixon back and makes the play. So Sasser retreats to first, 1 away, and Greg Jeffries the bat. Greg Jeffries has sacrificed, and he was on when he was hit by a pitch in the 8th inning. High, ball 1. Tim McCarver along with Steve Zabriskie, and a reminder that Ralph Kiner will be on his way with Kiner's corner unless it changes to later with Bob Costas the way this game's going. Mark Carrion is on deck, and he'll be the pinch hitter. Later with Ralph Kiner. That's yeah.
Thank you for tuning into this telethon today.
It's about that time for Jerry and his kids. In about a month, Labor Day. 1 out, 1 on, 1-1 here in the 12th. A ball and no strikes to Jeffries. Bad ball, 1-1. McGaffin has had a tough time getting the ball down. He is up with everything.
And Andy can't live up there. Very few pitchers can, but Andy cannot. Bottom of the 16th.
Out of play, so it's a ball and 2 strikes. We understand in the top of the 16th inning, the Cubs had a runner thrown out at home plate. Mark Grace, who just a week ago won the game in Chicago against the Mets. Or was it 2 weeks ago? No, it was last week, last Sunday.
Yeah.
Home run against Randy Myers, won it. Tapper left side. Houston will go to second base. I beg your pardon. Owen will go to second to Houston. And the fielder's choice by Jeffries as far as running is concerned. Because if Jeffries tries to run and he's thrown out, then you lose Carrion as a pinch hitter.
Carrion, as you saw, hitting 300 overall, but as a pinch hitter, he's doing even better than that. He's 8 for 19. His slugging percentage as a pinch hitter, or his slugging percentage this year, is .567.
So it's unlikely that Jeffries will be running. But the Expos holding him on nonetheless. And this one fouled away. 0-1 to Mark Carrion.
Mark has 3 pinch hit home runs this year and has produced 5 pinch hit RBIs with his 8 pinch hits.
So Ossie's out of there. Good job by Don, who worked 2 innings, giving up 1 run, 1 hit, and no runs, striking out 1. Slider and a beauty. 0-2 to Carrion.
This is a McGaffigan special right here to a right-handed hitter. That is a good pitch.
Outside, ball 1. 1-2 to Mark Carrion. Tell you, if you want a zany, fun-filled afternoon, tune into WGN tomorrow afternoon and see the Cubs and Expos in their sleep-in. The Cubs going 16 innings this afternoon, and here we are in the 12th with Montreal. Both teams have to travel today, too.
It'll be probably close to 90 degrees in Chicago. Well, no, it's been cool around the lakes. It might be cooler, but nonetheless, a day game after these 2 games is going to be sub-net.
1-2 to Carrion. Little check swing, and I think Carrion came back and hit Santavena with his swing or something got in the eye of Nelson. Appears to be all right. Still 1-2 to carry on.
McGaffigan asking him if he is all right. Mark tries to hold up here. This ball jams him badly, and he just takes a half hack. Now, there didn't seem to be any contact after that, so it must have been something in his eye.
Still 1-2, 2 outs, a 1-1 game here in the 12th. There goes Jeffries, swing and a miss. So carry on down on strikes. The Mets fail to score.
The Ralph Kiner rules banner that was displayed during Banner Day today. I guess now I'm going to have to be a poster child for the thoughtless.
I wonder if that means rules or you got to play by Ralph's rules.
We're playing Ralph Kiner rules today. And Andres Galarraga gets a base hit. Galarraga had been 0 for 5 and with only now 7 hits in his last 38 at bats. So the Expos start the 13th with a single to center. And that is their 9th hit. Each club with 9 hits now. And here's Santovenia, who is 1 for 5. He singled to left way back in the 7th inning. Bunting, foul, strike 1.
Remember all of the Mets pitchers, Randy Myers, Ossie, Fernandez, the Expos scoring only 1 run, and that's because, with the exception of Jeff Ennis, all of the Mets pitchers have thrown high fastballs. You can't get around on the high fastballs. Now Musselman's a ground ball pitcher, so it would make sense that the Expos would handle him a little better.
Breaking ball. There's an off-speed pitch outside.
Hit more ground balls with authority. See if Buck Rogers makes the change to the hit and run like Davey Johnson did.
Santovenia checking out third base coach Jackie Moore. Not to be lost in all of this, Sid Fernandez pitched another strong 8 innings.
Oh boy, did he ever.
A long time ago, but Sid with 8 good ones today. Hard bunt to first. Magadan to second. In time. Back to first. In time for the double play. What a scoop by Jeffries covering first. And a great play by Elster.
This thing will be on all types of highlight films right here, folks. Magadan charging. Watch him catch it on 1 hop. A good throw to second. And watch Elster. In the air, the 1-hopper. Picked by Jeffries. Boy, you'll never see a finer double play than that one. Worth seeing again. That was fun to watch.
And you don't see a 3-6-4 turned
Rarely.
very often under any circumstances. A big double play that could loom even larger as this game progresses. And it has progressed to the 13th with 2 out now for Spike Owen, who is 1 for 5. 1-1. Foul outside third. 1-2. Sid Fernandez went the first 8 innings, struck out 10, gave up 1 run on 5 hits, left with a no decision. Randy Myers pitched an inning and a third. Jeff Ennis pitched maybe the biggest 2/3 of the day as he came in with the bases loaded and 1 out and retired 2. Ossie pitched 2 strong innings, and now Jeff Musselman in the 13th. Grounded up the middle, off Musselman's glove, and Elster's going to have to eat it. Elster might have had a play, but obviously Musselman just reacting. Interesting that they each pitch from the opposite side also.
I believe they're the only 2 Ivy League teammates in the National League. I think they're the only 2 Ivy Leaguers in the National League. That's unofficial, but I think that's right.
Just foul. Johnson with an attempt at it, but it was just outside the third base bag.
Yeah, that's why Hojo should be back right now. You can't in between playing back and in, that is.
And there goes the runner from first. The pitch swung on and missed, and no throw. As Spike Owen steals second uncontestedly.
Only his 3rd stolen base of the year, and he was just going as soon as Musselman picked his leg up, and that's what Spike did. He's been a very valuable player for the Expos. No throw by Sasser.
Owen is all right, even though he grimaced after sliding in, and Hudler pops it up in play. Elster down the line, and the inning is over. 2 hits in the inning for Montreal, but they fail to score, and we go to the bottom of the 13th, still tied at 1 after this for the 9X either as the game goes on. Tied at 1. Juan Samuel, Howard Johnson, and Darryl Strawberry in the 13th against Andy McGaffigan. Samuel on the day 2 for 5, 2 singles and a stolen base. Good slider. Strike 1. Well hit to center. Nixon going back. Got it. And Andy McGaffigan can breathe again. 410 feet to the very edge of the center field fence.
Tell you the truth, Steve, when he first hit it, I didn't think he hit it that well, and then you look at Nixon and you see him going back, back, back. He turned the wrong way. I'll tell you, this guy can go get him with the best of any center fielders in the National League.
He's made one fine catch coming in and another one now going back.
He is an outstanding defensive center fielder. Look at McGaffigan.
A prayerful pose by McGaffigan. Where Samuel used to play in Philadelphia, that ball's a home run. Johnson with a base hit into left center field. Raines trying to cut it off. He can't. Johnson running hard. Rounding second. Going for third. Here's the relay. Out at third.
Do it every time. Howard Johnson made the right play then. Spike Owen on the run just made an absolutely superb relay throw to nail Johnson at third. The best base runners are the ones who are thrown out occasionally. Johnson right on the heels of this Samuel blast to the fence. Watch Raines and Owen work some magic. Watch the play by Spike Owen. On the run, throws a strike to nail Johnson.
And he just did get him.
Good base running and a great relay throw by Owen to nail Howard.
Strawberry takes outside. Ball 1. The Mets have smoked a couple here in the 13th, but there's nobody on base and 2 out. Johnson credited with a double, and he's out 7-6-5. Check swing foul. Yeah, Friday. What day is this? What week is it?
What
Friday.
town is this?
Where are we? Friday afternoon, I was talking to Buck Rogers, and he said the one thing on top of everything else that has been the difference for us has been our defense, and they really demonstrated it on that play.
Boy, that was a superb relay throw from both Raines and Owen. But Howard Johnson, make no mistake about it, made the right play trying to make it to third base. That way, you got to bring the infield and outfield in. They probably walked Strawberry and McReynolds to get the negative.
The off-speed pitch, and it's 2 balls, 2 strikes to Strawberry with 2 out and nobody on. Darryl on the day, two for four. His 23rd home run of the year and a single plus a walk. 3-2. Bottom of the 17th in Pittsburgh. We're in the bottom of the 13th here. They are tied at 4. We are tied at 1.
Seen more bottoms than a nursery this afternoon.
Yeah, we changed a lot of them too. Popped up. Both Santovania and Wallach going, and Wallach calling for it, and the inning is over. So the Mets are turned away with some outstanding defense. Both. Well, the broom is out, but for a different reason.
Karen Jackson, the right field ball girl, as Otis Nixon leads it off here in the top of the 14th. A 1-1 game, each side with 10 hits, sparkling defense, a great ball game all the way around. And Otis Nixon with 2 superb catches. And it's 2 balls and no strikes to Nixon. Jeff Musselman, the 5th Met pitcher on the afternoon. Fernandez, Myers, Ennis, Ossie. Line drive, base hit, left field. So Nixon is on with his second base hit in a row and his second for the afternoon. And that'll bring up Jeff Houston. And we'll see if he's bunting. Mike Aldretti comes into the on-deck circle, the only player, the only non-pitcher that the Expos have left. And Tim Burke is now warming for Montreal. Now, the last time Houston was up, back in the 12th inning, we suggested a steal by Nixon and then a bunt. We'll see what Buck Rogers does now. It was Nixon's circus catch in the 8th inning that puts us where we are with the bases loaded and Darryl Strawberry the batter, Zane Smith pitching. A 1-2 pitch, and Nixon came a long way and caught it just off the ground. Musselman will have to go to first base, and he just gets Houston. So the sacrifice once again successful. And Mike Aldretti, the pinch hitter for Andy McGaffigan. Aldretti, an acquisition from the San Francisco Giants for Tracy Jones. Outside, ball 1. Mike 5 for 20 with 8 RBIs as a pinch hitter this year, batting only .220, but this young man with a good stroke. So you have a Harvard graduate against a Stanford graduate. Slider on the corner, 1-1. There goes Nixon. Slider is low. The throw is late. Boy, you could smell that coming. You just was waiting for the time when Nixon was going to try to steal. And now the squeeze is certainly a viable option for Buck Rogers.
With a left-handed pitcher on the mound, the steal of third becomes easier from the standpoint that the base runner at second can get a better jump, a better lead, because the pitcher has his back to the baseline between second and third. And Nixon really took advantage of that. Couple that with his great speed, and it was no contest.
The one thing you don't have in your favor is that you don't have a right-handed hitter as the impediment in a catcher's throw to third. But with a good jump, you don't need it. We'll see if he puts a squeeze on. Outside, ball 3. 3-1 to Mike Aldretti. Nixon at third, 1 out. What a game Nixon has played. Defensively, offensively, and now a big steal of third. 3-1 to Aldretti. Outside, ball 4. So Musselman walks Aldretti, and the Expos have runners at first and third, 1 out, and who's the hitter? Tim Raines.
Raines has walked 3 times in this game. The last time up in the 12th inning, he was walked intentionally with Nixon at second base.
He is grounded into 3 double plays from the right side. So the Mets infield in a tough situation right here. If it's not hit sharply, you should come home with the ball. Otherwise, go for 2. Slider for a strike. 0-1 to Raines.
And if it's not hit sharply, your chances of getting Raines on the second end of the doubleheader are slim. I mean, double play are very slim.
That's why you come home with the ball if it's not hit sharply. That determination has to be in the infielders' minds right now.
Look
the
out.
bat goes one way. It's a swing and a strike. It's 0-2 to Raines. And the bat ended up in the stands. They'll probably give the bat back, and Raines will give him another one.
The crowd chanting, "Keep it, keep it." But ordinary procedure is that you do give him another one, and that's what Bryn Smith is doing. Players don't like to give up their gamers. And you can tell by Timmy's bat in that hitting area, there's a lot of paint knocked off that black bat. He's gotten a lot of hits with that bat, and he doesn't want to lose it. See above the trademark?
It's like paper stuck to the bat. I wonder what that would be. Our producer, Jeff Mitchell, suggests a receipt.
Timmy went to Kmart today, picked that up, and it still had the receipt on it.
Sure. It's 0-2 to Raines. First and third, 1 out. Breaking ball is low and just low. Mackey Sasser, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, has the affliction that he had in spring training. And that's an unwillingness to throw the ball back to the pitcher. He's been doing it all day, but with Nixon at third, check him out.
It's more pronounced now.
Outside. Now watch Mackey. No, he threw it back well then. It's 2-2 to Raines.
Mackey sometimes will tap the ball into his catcher's mitt as many as 3 times before throwing it back to the pitcher. Many times twice.
2-2 to Raines. Breaking ball fouled off, so Raines still alive. The Cubs and the Pirates in the 18th now at Three Rivers.
And this game coming up on 5 hours.
Top of the 14th inning, 1-1, but the Expos with Aldretti at first and Nixon at third, 1 out. Screwball popped up in the infield. Jeffries, 2 outs. Unbelievable.
Musselman just made a super pitch to Raines, turning one over on the outside part of the plate, and Raines popped it up. See how that ball lays out there, similar to the dead fish changeup of Bob Ojeda. But Ojeda claims he does not turn that ball over. Musselman does turn the ball over.
Clearly. Not out of the woods yet. Nixon still at third. Aldretti at first, and Tim Wallach the batter. He is 0 for 5 in the ball game. He fouls this one off. 0-1. It's not been a good day for Tim Wallach.
And there's another swing where he's behind a left-handed pitcher who is not ordinarily overpowering with the fastball.
Outside, ball 1, 1-1. There's Mackey giving it that double clutch back there. If Aldretti steals, I don't think Sasser will be throwing through. Not with Nixon at third. 10 runners. 1 and 2. We may have a chance to see Aldretti running. Sharply to short, but Elster to Jeffries to end it. What a ball game. The Expos fail to score after 13 and a half, still 1-1. And we're back after this from the good olds guy.
And he becomes the 5th pitcher of the afternoon and evening, utilized by the Expos.
Left fielder
Kevin McReynolds will lead it off here in the bottom of the 14th. Now you hope Hojo is all right. That head first slide. I'll tell you, if I were the Mets, I would demand that none of my minor league players work on a head first slide. I think it causes more problems. We've almost seen 3 serious injuries of Met players in the last 3 games.
And it's a wonder Santovania didn't kill himself head firsting it into first earlier in the ball game. You open yourself up to hand and arm injuries. Your shoulder and chest get banged up.
The knee buckles. This one hit deep to left field. This ball game is history, and the Mets win it 2-1. The broom, but I think it was the broom used by the Wicked Witch of the West.
There was a little magic involved this weekend here at Shea. A little witchcraft, perhaps. And the Mets in dramatic fashion last night, winning 3-2, as McReynolds figured in that one. And here it's Big Mac to end it after 5 hours. He crushes Steve Fry's pitch for the game-winning home run in the 14th inning, and the Mets sweep the Montreal Expos.
Home run number 12 for McReynolds on the season, and the 3rd home run in the last 3 days off Steve Fry.
The Mets, who lead the National League in home runs, use the home run to finish off Montreal and pull to within 4 games. The scoreboard here in Shea shows that the Pirates have beaten the Cubs. So the Mets have really made up some ground in sweeping Montreal in this series this weekend.
So the Mets win it 2-1. The lines will be hot throughout New York City tonight. And appropriately, here's a word from AT&T. We'll be right back. at Shea Stadium. Miraculously, the Mets have pulled it out. A 2-1 ball game. Both Met runs coming on a home run by Darryl Strawberry to tie it and a home run by Kevin McReynolds to win it. And I think you ought to feel proud that we've redone our ties. And boy, was it tough. You know it's a long game when your neck size changes during the game. Now, that's a long game.
Well, not
right?
only that, but your collar gets so soggy that you can't straighten your tie anyway. I mean, we're up here trying to get presentable. We shouldn't worry about it, though. I mean, after a game like this is just great baseball.
Oh,
and the Mets
boy,
doing
what a
it
ball
with the
game.
home run.
Terrific ball game. Johnson trying to stretch the double into a triple in the 13th inning. Great clutch pitching by Jeff Musselman and Jeff Ennis. Who's to forget him? He came in the 9th inning with the bases loaded and 1 out. Just a terrific baseball game.
Musselman gets the win, incidentally, as he pitched out of jams in both innings.
Yeah.
He had 2 runners on minimum in each inning. And, you know, this has to be a big lift for the Mets. Not just the fact that they swept Montreal, but the manner in which they did it. One-run ball games have been a problem for them. Beating Montreal has been a problem for them. They win in a come-from-behind fashion by 1 run last night. And here they come back down 1-0. Darryl ties it, and then they go all day before McReynolds wins it.
You talk about a lopsided 1-run record. The Mets are 12-3 in 1-run ball games at home. They are, what, 3-20 in 1-run games on the road. 3-20 as opposed to 12-3. And I don't know the reason for that, but it's staggering nonetheless.
Well, I think that's a good point, because in spite of this sweep, and in spite of the fact that the Mets have made up a tremendous amount of ground in 3 days, if they don't start playing better on the road, and with, of course, a series ahead in Montreal, you know, it really is going to be a moot point. They've played great at home all year, and they've got to win on the road in these final 2 months of the season to win it.
We will check it out as the Mets head to Philadelphia, about 100 miles down the road. But today they will feast on their victory as Kevin McReynolds, the Budweiser player of the game, his 12th home run, to lead off the bottom of the 14th inning to win it for New York.
Steve Fry, the loser, and Fry, the only batter he faced was Kevin McReynolds as he led off the 14th. So Big Mac, the Budweiser player of the game. So here are the totals, and boy, the fans that stayed to the end certainly enjoyed the finale.